Reality Activated Report.
It's always weird waiting for that to end.
Yeah, to lead into it. I think every time, is that new? Like, is there a new bit into it? Like, you do edit it like beforehand, like every time?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
okay,
this,
yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, I was thinking when you're doing the reality observation report, like, thing, you know? It's like, oh, man, that one sounded different today.
Oh, no. It's
Okay.
the same every time.
Yeah, I listened to it, like, I think it's different this time.
No, I don't know. There actually is two different ones, but I'm pretty sure they're both similar.
Okay.
But I think I'm going to switch it up after every 10 episodes.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. I have shit tons of music, so I'm just going to pick. I have this dubstep one I think I'm going to do next. It's just like a crazy build and then like some wompy dubstep bass sounds, and then we'll start talking.
Yeah, I like that one. Keeping it, like, for different seasons. It can be like the first batch of seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, 10 episodes, which we've only put out. This will be 6 when this comes out, but I think there's 3 in the what do the trap people say? Cooking it up, cooking.
Oh, I have no idea.
We have 3 in the kitchen, I guess. I don't know.
I always think it's like the unboxed stuff.
Oh,
Weird,
yeah.
like unboxed episodes.
Yeah. Or if, like we said before, if there's a day that we have to miss it or something, which I hope not, because I build up my knowledge for weeks, for like the whole week leading after a podcast. I start doing research on stuff and just cramming my brain with knowledge so that I'm prepared with craziness for the next podcast.
That's kind of how I am.
Bunch of bullshit.
Yeah. But something you're into, though.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's crazy shit that no one else will. A lot of people probably won't buy.
Yeah.
Like this crazy so what I was watching, I know I told you yesterday about this alien stuff. So this guy, his name is Emery Smith, and he was a biologist, surgeon kind of person, I guess, for some deep compartmentalized part of the government that was doing research underground at this Air Force base, and he was on an interview. I watched an interview with him, a video interview with him, where he basically tells all of the stuff that he saw and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it was...
So this is pretty recent then?
Yeah, so the first interview was, I believe, in March, was the first time that
2018?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before then, he was going under the name Paul, I believe. He was in this documentary called Sirius, which is about disclosure, basically. Stephen Greer, he's a doctor, big advocate for disclosure with the government, for them disclosing information about UFOs and all this kind of stuff. It's a good documentary. So he has him on there, and part of the documentary is, have you seen that little itty bitty alien man they found in South America, I believe?
No.
A little alien skeleton.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so the documentary is like about UFO stuff, but then it's also about this. And Emery Smith is one of the people that gets a piece of it and does testing, because his job, when he was in this deep program, he was responsible for doing surgeries or experiments and stuff on crazy, like, alien bodies, body parts, body tissue. He talks about how he was brought pieces of meat or pieces of substance, and it had alien arms growing off of it, or humanoid arms growing off of it. Basically, they were trying to cultivate body parts and stuff. And he said, I'm just going to do like a general synopsis of it. And he worked alongside other aliens, like reptilians, aliens that look like ants, aliens that look like us, deep underground, super Men in Blacky sounding. He's had attempts on his life. He talks, I mean, just crazy shit. You have to, I can't remember all the facts because it's so mind blowing, all this stuff. But I mean, like, he's very knowledgeable. The shit he's talking about, you're like, he says words and does all this stuff and says stuff that the aliens tell him, and they communicate telepathically how they got here. He's seen spacecraft and that sort of thing. Basically, the government is working with aliens, doing research and whatnot. There's I don't know if it's the government, actually. It could just be this deeply compartmentalized black, majestic 8 or whatever that is kind of deal. But working with these aliens, but also working with artificially made people and artificially made aliens that they like created with this technology and stuff. Crazy shit. So then I went down that rabbit hole and then found this other person, Corey. I can't remember his last name, but same thing. He worked in a different aspect of the field. And basically was the same thing, though. Like, he saw all this crazy stuff. And he wasn't in biology or anything, but he was in, I guess he was like a psychic medium, and these aliens would come and find him. I guess they came and found him. They were these like bird aliens. I forget what they're called. But they basically take him to the moon. There's a moon base there. He meets all these other aliens and stuff. Just crazy stories. But it's something worth looking into, because if it's any bit true, then it's crazy. And they both have, I don't think they've met, but both their stories were told on different accounts of these alien creatures, and they're both spot on. And I don't think they've met. They've never, corroborate or, made up this story or something like that. And there's other people too that have said the same thing in different instances in different points of time. And then the Emery Smith says that soon he's bringing more people out, people that he worked with, and once their like statute of confidentiality, I guess they signed, not a disclosure thing, not to say anything. Once that's run up, then they're going to start talking too. So it'll be interesting to see. But according to this Corey guy, there's been it's like a council, like a space organization that's been around for millions of years. And he said that he's been taken to like bases in outer space, other planets where they have like there's like a saber-toothed tiger there. There's crazy birds, all this crazy stuff. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, sounds pretty strange. Sounds almost like a science fiction.
I mean, it could very well be fake, and it's just a whole ruse just to get money. But I don't know, because there's all these people involved in it, and I just don't know if it would be fake. I don't know.
Yeah, I always come to it, like I was telling you, it's just like a high level of skepticism. Like when you're talking to me about these bird aliens, all I could think of was Hawkman, because he's from like a different world.
They look crazy. They're blue. They kind of look almost Avatar-ish, but they have blue mouths, and they speak telepathically, but they also sign when they're speaking. That's how they say that. That's how this guy says.
That's pretty cool, though, to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy if it was real. And they say that Corey Good is his name. They say that the aliens in this council want disclosure in the United States. They want the people to know, because I guess there's bigger problems or stuff like that, or there's supposed to be unity and all this.
Do aliens ever check out other countries?
What do you mean?
Like, do they only go to the United States?
No, I don't think so. Apparently, according to this Corey guy, when he went to meet these aliens, there was representatives from all over the world. He took a extra dimensional, interdimensional spaceship to the moon, where there was a moon base, and that's where he was taken along with other people from the United States. And the whole reason they picked him, I guess, is because he has some sort of psychic cognitive thing. He's very smart. When he talks, he sounds very smart. So that's why they picked him. And they had a big meeting on the moon, on the backside of the moon, where apparently there's this base. And apparently Neil Armstrong, that's what caused him to be like an alcoholic and basically kill himself, because he saw all this shit. And he saw things up there and he couldn't say anything about it and that sort of thing.
I know they had during the, I don't know which one it was, but there was like 14 minutes or something of silence.
Yeah. Well, another thing, according to this guy, he says that, and this was also in a, it's David Wilcock interviewing Corey Good. David Wilcock has this show called Cosmic Disclosure on that Gaia.com, www.gaia.com website. And that's where all these interviews take place, is on there. But he says that they actually went to the moon, but they also had a set in California, because there was such a big, they made such a big deal about going to the moon that the United States didn't want to fail, so they needed a backup plan just in case they didn't get to the moon, but they actually went to the moon. And they say that there was like crappy footage or something, so they had to redo some stuff down here. So they actually they both occurred. So maybe the 14 minutes could have been a switch
to the. It sounds like. Do you remember the Kiss album called Alive?
No.
Oh, well, they recorded it live, but then they went in the studio and just like.
Oh yeah.
Made it sound way unrealistic for a concert. The crowd just being way louder than the band's playing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
They always do that with live albums.
It always bothers me that they do that stuff.
Yeah. The movie, The Last Waltz, you can tell in that movie, you know what that movie is?
No, I never heard
of it.
The
band. It's the band's
Okay.
last concert. They bring out Neil Young, Bob Dylan, a whole bunch of guests. But there's parts, if you watch the bass player, the notes that you're hearing are not the notes he's playing. They definitely went in and, polished it up a little bit. But he says that this guy says there's a moon on the base, and that's other people from other dimensions. Well, they're not, he actually doesn't call them dimensions. That's what I was telling you about.
Yeah.
They're called densities. So he asked one of these aliens where they come, I think the bird alien, where they come from, and they said that they come from a density, which I guess, hold on. I wrote like a little summary of what density is so I could remember. Starting to get a little more professional with this ish.
Using the Feynman technique.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so density is classified as everything around us, energy, thought, matter, made of vibration. So it's kind of a measurement of vibration. So I guess these aliens from wherever come in through vibrations. So things are measured. So your consciousness, your thoughts, matter, atom matter, that sort of thing are vibrations, and that's how things get in and out, is through density, I guess. I think it's kind of like the same concept as dimensions, but I personally think that makes sense. Density, I like that better than dimensions. It makes, if you put consciousness into play in it, I believe that kind of is what makes sense, because consciousness, I feel, creates waves, Like,
yeah, I always wondered with the whole consciousness thing is everything is made up of atoms as small as we can see. Like, what is consciousness? Like, would it be made up of atoms?
I think it's waves. I think that we've talked about before the double slit test.
Yeah.
How particles, they act like particles when not observed, but when observed they act like waves. And I think that all that kind of stuff is connected. I think consciousness, and I think that's why I buy into this dense. I don't know if it's a theory.
Well, I know that with certain wave frequencies, you can do certain things. Like if you have like a wave frequency, you can destroy a bridge by just like shooting a wave gun
Right.
to it. Like when you ever seen that bridge that like vibrates so
Right.
much, and then it just like collapses. It's
Well,
kind of like that.
They have riot police that use sonic waves to disperse crowds. It sends like a blast, like a wave blast. And I mean, if you think about like earthquakes, those are seismic waves. It's waves. It would make sense that energy, massive amounts of energy can be produced from waves. And if you think about that in this theory, the dense definition of traveling through, crazy, almost time traveling or whatnot, if you travel through waves, that would kind of make sense. Because waves go through things, they don't go through things. I don't know. I feel we don't understand. Maybe we just don't understand certain wavelengths.
Yeah, I don't know. I know colors in a wave.
Right, gamma rays, alpha rays. Different animals see in different rays, or there's different rays. There's rays coming from the sun and stuff. But so he says that these bird aliens, which are called avian humanoids, they're blue bird looking things. He said that they came from density 6 or density 9 or something like that. And other aliens have said that they come from different densities and that sort of thing.
I always wonder with things that are like creative, like stories, right? If we're just thinking about, is it really being created, or does that story actually exist in a different reality? So like, for an example, Superman, does he actually exist? And the reason why we put him here and he exists in this world is just in comic book form and movie form, like entertainment form. But all we're doing is peering into a different, what you would say, density.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe everything that you create like that does exist somewhere. It somehow gets animated and winds up somewhere else.
Yeah.
I just think it's fascinating. Alien stuff aside from that, I think that and he gets into this other stuff. I can't like necessarily remember it, but he gets into this other stuff of basically how these like I said, they just want us to know about them, and it's not supposed to be kept from us. And apparently he says that there's this, either him or that Emery guy say that there's going to be this big data dump soon where they're going to release a bunch of knowledge about all this stuff, or information about all this stuff.
If the aliens want us to know, why don't they just be known?
Or and I was thinking too, if they want to be known, why don't they just come down here? Why don't they canvas a neighborhood and just come knock on our doors? Hey, we're real, we're here.
Or just
wake up.
Like what they did in, you ever see Man of Steel?
No.
Oh, it's like a Superman movie. Came out, I don't know, a few years ago, 2013 maybe, where the main villain, he just hacked every entertainment thing. So if you're on your phone, your TV, if you're walking in New York and you see those big signs and everything, his name is General Zod, and he could speak in every single language because it's for those people type of thing, and just let himself be known. Like, hey, we are from Krypton as well, and you are harboring one of our aliens. And at this point, which is Kal-El, who's Superman, nobody even knew.
Yeah.
There was like an alien on Earth. And
Yeah.
so then Superman had to kind of make himself known to the world. But why don't they just do that?
Well, I think that the people that are in control, the Majestic 9 or the Magi, the super deep, dark people, I think that they're afraid, for how the humanity as a whole would respond. But part of me thinks that this whole time, starting from Roswell, well before that, all the lore around it maybe they're just trying to desensitize us so that when it does happen, it's not as a big a deal. It's hard for us to comprehend because it wouldn't be a big deal to you or I, because we would just say, "Oh, I fucking knew it." Oh, if they say aliens are real, I'd be like, "Yeah, no shit. We knew that. It's about time you tell us." But for many people, I don't think that they can handle it, and I think that if any of this shit that these dudes are saying, there's a lot more going on. I mean, whoever's in control of this are making people. They're playing God. They're light years ahead of where we think we are in the world. Down there, they're light years ahead. So maybe they don't want to give up that technology. Maybe they don't want to give up that information. Being selfish, probably.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've been thinking about time a lot lately, because time's kind of like a construct. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but if you're on a mountain, time runs faster than if you're at sea level.
Right.
What is the real time then? So if you travel at light speed around the Earth for 1 year, they say it would be 10 years here on Earth. I always wondered if time is just kind of like this malleable thing, that some point in the future we actually go to different planets and kind of populate those planets, and over millions and billions of years we've kind of just like permeated the entire galaxy, but that's them coming back to see us.
It is.
So like it's humans in the future, like super far future.
That's what they
us.
say, that like the Arcturians, that's a race of aliens. It's us from the future. This guy Emery Smith, who worked in the lab alongside of other aliens, said that some of these aliens are us from the future. Certain things have changed about them because it's been millions of years, but they're coming back, and that they came back in Egyptian time, and they've been in and out, and it's on the level where he would be at, in this base. It would be Superman in Blackie, right? He said, the one guy, the Corey Good says that he went to this, I can't remember if he said it was a planet or a sphere. These bird aliens, these avians, have these spheres on our planet, and these spheres are preventing waves from hitting our Earth, and it's breaking them up, and all the tsunamis that have happened and all that crazy shit, according to these aliens, would be far worse. But they have these spheres in our atmosphere that are breaking these waves up so that they just come as small tsunamis, because they said the energy that's coming at us we wouldn't be able to handle. So they're breaking it up. They're basically saving us. But he goes up into this, I guess it's a sphere or something, but like I was saying, there was a whole basically recreation of our environment up there. Shit, I lost my train of thought. What did you say before that?
If they're humans from a distant future.
Yeah, you said something else. Anyways, but yeah, they have this same atmosphere up there. What he says he saw is an obelisk in the middle of the field, and then like a fake sun on top of it. Basically, they have the sun inside of this spaceship. But he says what he described sounded like Men in Black. He said that he basically described every different UFO that through the years have been seen, the cigar-shaped one, the oval ones, the saucers. He says when you go into this place and look up, they're flying around everywhere. People are coming in and out. Aliens are coming in here, coming out there. It's and that's what happens at the moon too. It's like an alien airport and stuff, kind of like reminded me of Men in Black. But if that was real, then the whole time would just be, I think you'd be right about time. It would have to be
very malleable.
Yeah.
Because they don't really know how to explain time.
Right. And I feel that you have to in order to travel like that, let's say that the aliens, the Arcturians or whatever, the Pleiadians, if they are us in the future, if they are coming in, I feel that time has to be some sort of physical aspect that you can bend, like one of those balls that has sand in it and you squish it and it's like really, or like putty. It has to be like that to where you can turn it, into something else or move it a certain way or something.
Yeah, how they view time is it's not here. Like it's part of the universe rather than just like, if a human came to be through the passages of time, it's not guaranteed.
Right.
No matter if there's zero life in the universe, time would still exist.
Right.
And then as you get closer to gravity, time slows down. So that's why when you're inside of a black hole,
Yeah.
they think that time...
Or G's, when you're pulling G's.
Yeah, it's just stopped, almost
Yeah.
completely stopped. And then as you go out of, because gravity will bend space-time, as soon as you get like farther away from the bending of it, the faster time goes.
Right. Well, and think about this. And I kind of thought about this. So if I've been listening to a lot of stuff, and a lot of people mention something about the omniverse or whatever, the universe is moving in toward the black hole. There's some gigantic big black hole at the end of all this. And that's what's making, I guess, time, it's sucking us. So it's moving, or this is what I'm thinking. If it's moving the universe, if it's sucking the universe in, that's time. So at whatever point on the timeline we are, that's kind of how our time is determined. So let's say, whatever part of the galaxy or whatever part of the solar system is closer to the black hole, maybe they're moving faster. Because, if waterfalls, if it's on an incline, the water that's behind the waterfall is moving slower, and then as you slowly get close to the waterfall, it goes faster.
Yeah, but if you're way downstream, you do not feel the pull of the
Exactly,
waterfall.
and you're moving very slow. So I was thinking maybe we're just super far back from the black hole, but there's people that are closer, or alien races that are closer. So time is different. They can jump, or using that to bend or make time malleable or something like that. Our time that we experience in this chunk of the universe is just measured by our distance from whatever source is pulling us or pushing us, regardless. So maybe that could be it, and that could have something to do with how aliens would bounce around or something like that.
I always wondered about giant aliens.
Yeah, there's a race, and they were actually in the book of Enoch. They were called... I can't remember what they're called. What do you think about them?
Well, because how tall we are, like dinosaurs, because they think that the Earth wasn't spinning as fast, and days were, the Earth was spinning faster when the dinosaurs were around. They think it's like 14-hour days, but they just grew larger, probably because of like the amount of oxygen in the air and the abundance of food. So like it will depend on how their planet would be in order for them to be either small, like you said, as a tiny little alien, or a giant alien. It just depends on, because if there's a lot of gravity, they're probably going to be tiny. And if there's not that much gravity on their planet, they're probably going to be a lot bigger than us.
Yeah.
So I always wonder, just like, and plus the size of the planet, because Earth is actually really small for a planet.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Yeah, so like if there's got to be way bigger planets. I mean, even in our solar system, there's bigger planets, but I'm talking about ones that like can actually harbor life. They would have to be bigger to some degree, or they could be just tiny because we have ants here. Like humans aren't the biggest things here.
Well, here's the thing: if that Emery guy's story is true, then he worked alongside an ant that was his size. He said it had bigger antennas. So ants are small on this planet, but on their planet where they're actually from, they're massive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like we have small things and big things, but I just wonder about the things that travel through space, because it'd be kind of weird. I don't know, I always think about people who see UFOs. They're kind of relatively big as a plane, like an Earth plane.
Sometimes they're huge. They're way bigger though.
Yeah, I always think that like when you see Star Wars or any of the Avengers movies.
Yeah, they have. Well, according to that, some of their stories, these spheres that are going in and out are massive. They fit. You know, the spaceships apparently that this dude takes to the moon can fit 600 people. I mean, that's pretty fucking big.
Yeah, it's like a high school.
Yeah, and he says that a lot of the people that go missing every year, like the millions and millions of people that go missing every year, whatever it is, a lot of them are either A, being taken against their will, or B, being taken at their will to these various places around, or universe or whatever.
What's the benefit though? I don't get like why aliens are here or they want humans. That's something that I never really understood. Is why would they want a human? Because we're like, in our position in the galaxy, we're on the very outskirts of it. It's like we're in the hillbilly area of the galaxy.
Right, but just like you and I, we read and we look for knowledge and stuff. Maybe they just want knowledge. They want to know how we tick, and if they work with us, and they're like, oh, sure, we'll let you operate on us. You can operate if we can operate on you. Maybe they're just trying to understand all the beings in the universe. I don't know.
Yeah, I just never got it. But I've never really been truly into the whole like alien thing. Like, it's cool to like learn about and see and stuff. And like reading in comics and stuff is pretty cool to read about aliens. But for the most part, like, I've never like really bought into it.
Yeah.
Like besides, because everything that I've ever heard about aliens was always somebody saying they saw like a UFO flying and things like that. I think my mother, she told me one day when she was younger that she saw a UFO and she swears by it. But I don't know. I don't see them traveling like how if we're going to travel from, here to New York. It's going to take us forever.
Right.
They would have to, like the first time like I met you and everything is I was telling you, I don't really think that they would fly here. They would have to bend space-time to get here because it's going to take forever. Even at light speed, they'd take 4 years for Earth years to get here.
Right.
They would have to somehow, it's kind of like if you have a piece of paper and you draw a dot on one end and the other end, and
right,
you just fold it, the dots can connect instantly instead of just traveling through there.
Yeah.
They would have to do that. I don't know.
Maybe they just get fucked up on their planet and they get drunk. When you're in high school or you had friends or something that were in high school and you didn't really have anywhere to go, so you just got hammered, or you didn't get hammered and drive, but someone would drive and then you would drink in the back or whatever, because you didn't have anything to do. Maybe they're just on their planet and they have some crazy drug or they have some crazy alcohol and they just get super fucked up and they're like, oh dude, let's go fuck with those earthlings.
Yeah.
If I was an alien, that's totally what I would do. I would be the biggest.
Well, you are an alien to something.
Yeah, well, that's true. If I could time travel, I would totally get fucked up and go take a space Uber to Nibiru and, pull practical jokes on, those aliens there, or fuck with other people,
Yeah.
Because think about it. If you, I like to play jokes on people by scaring them or something. But if you can travel extra dimensionally, that ups your prank game so much, and you could
like do the growling stuff and like sneak into people's rooms and just really scare them.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably what they're doing. They get shit faced. They ride their space Uber UFO down to Earth. They hop out the little grays and they're like, oh, turn in shadow mode. All right, ready. All right, let's go in this bedroom and touch the guy and appear. Now leave.
Yeah, it's like, no way, dude. You're not doing it, man. There's no way you're going to touch that human. It's like, I'm doing it, dude. Like, even though, like, they're really scared.
Because if a human touches them, their skin melts or their exo shit melts off.
Yeah, they absorb their DNA or something.
They turn into them. They have to stay.
I was going to say, that's probably why they're messing with, like, people on, like, farms and stuff. Because, like, in a city, too many people are like, oh, dude, that's an alien, man. But like, in the middle of a farm, they're just messing with them. Yeah. They're actually in the farm taking, like, rods and actually making the crop
Crop
circles
circles.
instead of like actually getting a UFO making it.
Yeah.
They're actually making a mess of them.
Dude, that's totally what I would do if I was an alien. No, but I think for real though, I think that why we've seen UFOs for so long in the sky and whatever, I don't think that they're coming from anywhere. I think that they've either been here or the moon thing. That would make sense. The moon base, they're just popping in and out because they're bringing people in and out. They're coming in and out of somewhere that is already on Earth. You know, that would make sense. They didn't travel that. It's not like they woke up that morning. All right, put your fucking shoes on, grab your beer. We're going down to Earth. It's going to be about a 30-second ride, so
30 seconds, Dad.
Yeah, bring your crossword puzzle, Harry.
Why don't they have? If I was gonna do this, is where my mind goes to. Probably because I'm a child. Is just make like a giant dick spaceship, kind of like in Austin Powers.
Oh yeah.
And just travel around.
Yeah.
And that, but like right before it takes off, because it's like a flaccid ship, right? And right before it takes off, it just gets like super hard and just goes through.
That's how they figured out how to travel.
Yeah.
Just a hard dick is what makes your spaceship go.
That's how you penetrate space.
There probably is an alien cruising around with a dick-shaped spaceship. Oh, those fucking Arturians and their dick spaceships. God damn it! Why are they? Look at them. They're giving us a bad name.
And then the other ones have like an anus one, and that's how they dock in there.
That's how they're like their mothership. They enter through the anus.
Yeah. And then as soon as they're inside, they release tiny little like spore spaceships.
Their space trash.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be funny. No, but I do think that the more and more that I listen to these people talk and all this stuff, and I think there's going to be a lot more of it coming out, and I think it's good and a bad thing. I think it's kind of bad because it's almost gonna. I don't want it to get a satirical kind of, stigma attached to it, and people just be, oh, nope, another dude talking about aliens, working alongside ants and this kind of shit, because then it's just going to desensitize people, and people aren't going to believe it. They're not going to buy it as much. I think that if these people were smart, they would get physical evidence, or,
That's what Neil deGrasse Tyson said. He goes, when he hears these abduction stories and they're kind of all similar, and some of them would come back with like their language or just random scars or just nosebleeds for some reason, he's like, if you're aware that you're inside the spaceship, try your best to grab something. Like something that's not from like
Right.
see, like either utensils or whatever, just grab it and keep it.
Right. Yeah. And I feel like I think that there should, I don't know though, because who are we? We are two dudes that live in Kansas City, Missouri. We are pretty average people. So why would we get to see that sort of information? We're not.
Yeah, they could give it to everybody.
Well, I think that there's more than enough people that know. It's just we're not those people, if we searched for it harder, or we made more connections, or got into that, maybe we would find I guess evidence or something like that. All you have is videos. I mean, it's the same thing for things in history. If someone's obsessed with the Civil War and they watch all these videos about the Civil War and shit, well, did it really happen? Was it really real? You're just watching videos on it. Oh, it's documented. Okay, that's cool. How do you
know if it's all real history?
Exactly. So is all this kind of stuff. So when people bash it, or that's not fucking real, there's no fucking way, it could be real.
Oh yeah.
People believe in much more crazier shit. The woman that believes that her husband's not cheating on her, but he really is cheating on her, or something like that.
Yeah, or mine's always mythology as real. People believing it as be real.
Yeah. The Book of Enoch, which there's two kind of aspects to the Book of Enoch. There's kind of the alien play on it, then there's the religious play on it. So it was parts of the Book of Enoch were part of the Dead Sea Scrolls. They chose to, I forget. I think that the church decided to leave it out because there was a lot of talk of a war between angels, fallen angels, Lucifer, God created Lucifer, or Jesus created Lucifer, all that kind of shit. And there was a war, something that just didn't add up into their picture, or fit into their story that they were telling. But in the book of Genesis, there's a brief mention of Enoch, and what I've found from all the stuff I've been watching is, if you read I think it's the book of Genesis. If you read the book of Genesis, it just comes out of nowhere into this flood or something, and then there's a mention of Enoch, but there's a chunk of information missing in your. It feels weird. I can't remember like the exact part of the story or whatever, but when I was reading it and looking through it, it just kind of sounds like you're jumping into the middle of like a dream. You're jumping into the middle of the dream. You don't know how you got there, and that sort of thing. But there's a lot of talk of giants that could possibly be aliens, I guess. The Watchers, who are the Anunnaki, who are from Nibiru, which were the aliens that would come down. Then there was these people that would come down from the sky and mate with women down here, and that's where I guess we could have come from. Just a lot of weird stuff, and like I said, it could be construed as religion, or obviously alien people can want to make it be more on the alien side. But there's a lot of interesting stuff. Giants were in there. Enoch walked with God, walked with Jesus, one of the two. He walked with Jesus. Something came down and took him away for 3,000 years. So there's just a lot of weird stuff in there that if you kind of sift through it and pick through it, it could make sense. There's a lot more to the story. I just can't remember it.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
Yeah, it's interesting. All that Dead Sea Scroll shit is pretty interesting. But I think a lot of that kind of information got lost in the Library of Alexandria.
The burning of it?
Yeah. A lot of old history that probably connects some fucking dots.
There's I don't remember his name. It starts with a D, and he was a philosopher, and he was doing all these observations on how our reality actually reacts to things, and a lot of his stuff was burned, like during that time.
Huh.
I don't remember his name.
Democrates or something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
And like, there's only one true standing book of his left.
Yeah.
And the other things kind of like just mention all these other books that he had.
Yeah, that's why I can't buy into anything. At this point, the more research I do, the more unsure I become of.
That's kind of like what Neil deGrasse Tyson said, is the more your knowledge expands, so too does the radius of your ignorance.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true.
That makes perfect sense.
Or the circumference of your radius.
That's how I feel.
Or the circumference of your ignorance, I mean.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I just feel that all these rabbit holes I'm going down, they're never ending, and I'm just digging my fucking yard up.
It's kind of like when you first learn how to play a musical instrument, how easy it seems. Oh, you just, put your fingers here, like if you're playing guitar or piano, and then just, these 3 notes make 1 chord, and it seems really easy. And then you start learning about the different scales, and then the modes, and then triads, and all that stuff. And then you're like, wow, I didn't really know nearly
jazz.
Yeah, just
chords.
All this stuff that like you'll just forever learn.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how it is with things. Sometimes I go down rabbit holes of learning things. Like mine's not. My most recent one was just, I'm going to learn everything about Arnold Schwarzenegger. So that's what I did.
So where is he from?
Well, Austria.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's his favorite milkshake, or what's his favorite food?
His favorite food, I believe, I have no idea. I didn't get in that far. I was just going to make something up, like an apple.
Oh.
But that's the Austrian delicacy is apples. But I have no idea if that's real or not either. But just like his whole marriage thing,
Oh, doesn't he have a kid with his nanny or something?
Yeah, I just got really, I don't know, like not into it because when I was growing up as a kid, Sylvester Stallone was one of my favorite actors, and just because like my dad always took me to Rambo movies and Judge Dredd and all that stuff, and then they did a movie together called Escape Plan. I was like, oh, I didn't know they did a movie together, and that's kind of when I just went down the rabbit hole of researching his whole affair thing. It's like this, I will never need this information.
Right.
But that's kind of like where my rabbit holes go down, or just like I wonder what musician that was only popular one time in the 90s. I wonder what they're doing now. It's like, oh, they produce a lot of music for other people.
Right.
Lolita, I need you to come in here, please. And he's wearing like his old bodybuilding uniform.
Yeah. There's that interview where he says, it's in a Fish documentary. Trey Anastasio quotes it. But I always think it's funny. He's like, when I'm at the gym, I'm coming at the gym, and then I come home and I meet these girls, and I'm just coming all night. It's pretty disgusting, but I heard that, and I was like, man, that's the governor of California.
I like what he did a speech. I think it was a commencement speech. I've been trying to find it. I've only read it, but where he said that, like one little snippet of it was, while you and somebody else might want the same thing out of life, but while you're out there partying and kind of just being away from the thing that you want in life, there's somebody who wants it more than you.
Right.
Who's working towards it more than you. They're going to get it rather than, kind of, like, even if you take a year break from hanging out with friends, in a year, you'll still be able to hang out with friends. Those parties will still be there, but the opportunities for you might not be. And I always just, like, take that.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. I always listen to commencement speeches.
Yeah, they're pretty, what's the correct term? Inspiring.
Yeah.
Except for I think it was our first or second podcast we did when I talked about my brother Sam's commencement speech when that narcissist woman just went on a tangent about her own damn accolades.
Yeah, that's the thing that kind of bothers me. I forget, it was some actress.
That Steve Jobs one is good.
So my top three are going to be Steve Jobs, and this is no order. Steve Jobs, Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey is awesome.
Oh, I'd like to watch that one.
It's really good. He gives you like 12 rules kind of about how to be a better person type of thing. And then Jim Carrey's. Have you ever seen Jim Carrey's?
Pre-crazy?
I think he's always been that way. To me, he's not crazy. To me, he's just awakened from the delusion that he was. But this was 2014.
He's playing Dr. Robotnik, though.
Oh, they're making a Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's going to gain weight or something? Or is it just like a voice?
I don't know.
Oh.
I hope it's like live action.
Yeah, who would be Sonic then?
I don't know, but they'll probably make Knuckles a bitch, or not Knuckles.
Tails.
Tails.
Tails
was always a bitch in the game.
They'll probably make Tails probably into like a female character or something, if anything.
Yeah, I didn't mean bitch as in female. I meant a wimpy character,
Yeah.
Matt Damon or something.
Dude, I love Matt Damon.
That's what they should do. They should make Ben Affleck
Sonic. Or they should just do The Conjoined. Remember that movie? What was it called? It was like with him. It was with Matt Damon and somebody else, and they're like conjoined twins.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. It was like 10 years ago, maybe.
Oh.
They can both be. I was gonna say like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck could be tails together. Like have two tails. So it sounds like it's just gonna be a giant furry movie.
Yeah, and it could even be fake. I don't know. I just saw it on Facebook. I thought it would be cool though.
Yeah,
the music, the soundtrack, whatever band gets to do that soundtrack.
Yeah,
or it should be Humphreys McGee. Humphreys McGee would kill that soundtrack.
But I liked Jim Carrey's is kind of talking about understanding what you are as a human more so than thinking what you are as a human. Like, because he said that
knowing what you are.
Yeah, that you're not contained within your body. Your body's kind of contained within you, type of thing. Where it's like
a vehicle.
Yeah. So he says if you view it as like a car, I'm gonna paraphrase this stuff, but he says if you view your life as just a car, you should view your life as a convertible, rather than just like a solid mass that has because outside of you is still you type of thing. But his is really good. I think I listened to his is like 23 minutes long. Oh, another one that's really good I forgot is Neil Gaiman. Do you know who Neil Gaiman is?
Mm-mm.
He's a comic book writer. Back in the 90s he wrote the Sandman. Have you ever heard of the Sandman? You might like Sandman.
Was it made into a movie?
No.
Oh.
But he also wrote Coraline and American Gods. This is like his new thing is American Gods. I think they made it into a TV series, if I'm not mistaken. But his is pretty cool. His is kind of just like follow what you want to do in life. Is he never really had a plan for his life. He just kept doing one creative thing to the next creative thing type of thing. But yeah, those are my top ones.
Yeah.
I'll listen to them a bunch, but Steve Jobs is really good.
Yeah, that's a good one. I do like them because I think that for people, we all have this feeling of what we want and what we're looking for in life, in relationships, and for fun. And we all have this feeling that we know we kind of know what it is. We don't want to, and I feel that watching those kinds of things puts it into words, because you may not necessarily know how to phrase what you want, but when you hear someone else say it, you're like, yes, that's what I fucking want.
Yeah.
And I feel in those commencement speeches and other motivational speeches or other stuff, they're just putting they're putting your thoughts into actual words, or your feelings into words that you may not be able to articulate, just because you just, not that you're not as smart, but you think of things differently or something like that.
Yeah, like these ones, for me, like why I listen to them so much is kind of just a reminder, because there's so much content in them that you might not gather the first time, but it just seems like we're all doing the same thing, is we kind of all want something better than what we kind of currently have. And following, like, each of these people just did it their own way rather than trying to have a set plan. Like if you take your whole life and try to, it's always like when you're a kid. Remember the joke was make a future board to where you want to go.
Vision board.
Vision board. Yeah, vision board. It's kind of like that. Well, those things never work out. Like you can't really plan to how your life is going to be, because if you focus too hard on one thing, like if it's I want to be a comic book illustrator and this is all I'm going to focus on, you might miss out on jobs to do storyboardings for movies or animation sketches, like character designs for animation. You might miss out on all that stuff because you're too heavily focused on one sort of aspect. Because if you end up doing something, it's still a win. Like let's say like you get hired to do the Sonic the Hedgehog movie music, right? That's still a win, even though you're not in a band and
Right.
touring and stuff. Like, but you're making music for a living. It's kind of like that. It's like if you just don't focus too hard on what you really think you should be getting out of life, then it opens the door for actually what could truly make you happy. Because it's kind of like when you're a kid, you pick up a baseball bat, you're like, yeah, I didn't really like that. And then you climb a tree, like, I really like climbing trees. So then you start doing other things. Well, I'm going to rock climb. You're like, okay, I really like rock climbing. And then one day you decide, what would it feel like to climb this rock and then jump off?
Right.
So then maybe you do skydiving. And
Right.
just like it takes you different
That's why you
ways.
should have an open mind and try to explore as many things as possible, because you
Yeah.
never truly know. I mean, I'm 30 and I'm just discovering things I didn't know that I would like to write comic book stories or color comics, and I'm constantly learning things that I like to do.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. It's kind of like we were when you were a kid, but for some reason, we just kind of give up on it when we're older. Like,
Because you surrender to the bullshit system.
yeah, I met this girl. Well, I guess she's a woman. She said her birthday was recently or the other day, or was the specific day that I saw her, and she was with her family, and she's like, it's my birthday. And then I joked around and said, oh, is it your 21st birthday? Because you know how people don't like talking about their age for some reason, which I don't get. She goes, no. And then her husband goes, she's 40. And she goes, we're not supposed to talk about that. And then I was like, well, like me, I always try to make things lighthearted and kind of put in perspective of how things are. It's like if you live to 80 years old, you only lived half your life. It's halfway through,
Right.
which is a long time. Like
Right.
if you really think like, oh, this is a midway point, like you can either look at it negatively or you can look at it positively. And she did not like that at all, because I guess probably what she thought in her mind was saying is, you're halfway to dead, which is not true. It was like, you've only lived half of a full life.
Right.
Like if I gave you like a drink and said, oh, you can only drink half of that, you wouldn't think to yourself, well, forget the rest. You're like, well, I got half of this thing left. Like that's
If
how
you
I view
gave
things.
me a full glass of whiskey and said drink half, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. I'm
You-
drinking the whole thing.
Yeah, you
And
wanna-
then I'm taking the bottle. And then after that, I'm going to get another bottle. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to consume as much as possible.
That's reincarnation.
Yeah. And that's how I view life now. And that's how I'm going to just start living my life. Dude, I this whole week I've just been having these breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough. I listened to like a 2-hour lecture from Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, which is like the starter of I'm looking at that on the computer. That's the only reason I remember that.
Okay. Even if you didn't tell me that, I would still believe you.
Oh, yeah. So transcendental meditation. I'm not going to get into it. But I am going to maybe early next year go. You basically have to get taught. I think I told you this. Like
where they give you your mantra.
Give you your mantra. But I watched this David Lynch interview about transcendental meditation, and he's my favorite director. And he's been doing it for 40 years, every morning, every night. And I don't know what it is about it. I know that the purpose of it is to make you, there's an analogy where your consciousness, your brain, whatever, is like a wave on the top of the ocean. But what you want to do is tap into the very bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, because on the waves at the very top are chaotic and crazy. But the deeper you get down into the body of water,
Right.
it's stillness and calm.
Right. But hearing David Lynch talk about it and putting it into perspective in his work and how monumental his work is and how much his work embodies who he is to the core, I feel, from what I understand from it, that's how, there's different ways for everyone to tap into that sort of knowledge and energy. But I feel for me, I don't know why, but I feel that I want to pursue it because I feel that could be a way to get in truly inside of myself and start producing things that art, whatever, just inner happiness, and really figure out, who I am, so that I'm not 40 pissed off about how old I am. Then Jerry Seinfeld gives a speech about it, how he's been doing it for 41 years, another successful person. And of course, there's probably non-successful people that do it and that sort of thing.
But what defines success?
To them.
Yeah,
to them.
Yeah, they're
successful.
It might be successful.
Yeah, the key is they accomplished what they wanted to do. They figured out what it was they wanted to do through it, and they accomplished it, what it is that they wanted to do. But I listened to his Maharishi's, I guess you would call it rhetoric, preaching, word, I don't know.
His little spiel.
Yeah, but it's kind of like commencement speeches. It's just very uplifting, and you're like, oh yeah, But searching for all this knowledge and just trying to expand your mind, even though you're going down rabbit holes and stuff. I feel that's what life should be about, so that when you are 40, how much knowledge you've gained up to that point is your trophy for being on the earth.
Yeah.
For 40. Do you want to live? Do you want to? And maybe she said that because she's 40. She's working a 9-to-5 shit job, and she's just unhappy. She doesn't really know who she was or who she is. Maybe she had hopes and dreams, but she never got to accomplish them because she succumbed to the system.
Yeah, I think about, look, why do I view being 30? I could not wait to turn 30. Like, I don't know why. Like, but a lot of people say like, oh, I remember even thinking like when I was in my 20s, thinking, when you turn 30 is like the oldest thing ever, like, oh, you just, now you're over the hill and everything's just downhill type of thing. But it's really not that way, because I think about from the ages of 25 to about 55, you really physically don't do a lot of changing.
Right.
But from 0 to 25, you almost look like a completely different human, And then from about 55, 60 on down, that's when you start aging.
Pruning.
Yeah, basically. Is, I guess, if you think of yourself as like, okay, well, I'm in my 40s, oh man, fuck, I'm so old. Well, yeah, you're going to feel old. But if you constantly do things to make yourself feel young, what that means for you, you're not going to be kind of aware of your aging. Because that's one thing I don't get with people, like I said, is when you ask somebody their age and they're kind of squeamish about it, is you cannot help that.
Right.
Like, for the most part, you can help how you look. Like, if you eat a lot of food, or you don't eat a lot of food, or you cut your hair, or you know, grow facial hair, or just, you know, whatever it may be, cover your body in tattoos or anything like that. You can kind of change how you physically look, but you cannot change your age at all.
Right.
So why even be embarrassed?
Unless you know
about
how to
it?
time travel.
Yeah, but still, even if you time travel, your body is still that age. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
true. Yeah.
So if you go back 10 years ago, you don't all of a sudden.
You'll
know,
just
10
see
years
yourself.
in. Yeah, this is the thing that
But then you'd create a paradox, and it'd be like Back to the Future.
I have a whole thing. If I ever can do Back to the Future over again, I would. Like, there's so many paradoxes in that movie and just like inconsistencies.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite trilogy when I was growing up as a kid.
I
But
fucking hated number 3.
number
The
3.
Western one,
Yeah.
ugh, so lame. Number 2 is the best, I think, in my opinion.
2. Here's the reason why I don't really care for 2 is Biff goes into the time. Future Biff in the year 2015 goes into the time machine back to 1955, and then comes back to 2015 as nothing happened. Like, he goes back, and then when they go back to 1985, you know, it's like Donald Trump heaven. There,
Right.
you know, like, but why would the Biff? Because, like, looks like Biff was in here, broke his cane. If he would have went back in time, gave him that book so he can win money, right? Then when he went back to 2015, which is, what was it, like 60 years later? Is it 60 years later? Yeah, 60 years later. Things would be radically different. He wouldn't just like pop back out and get out of the
Right.
time machine. Everything's the same. That's the ultimate paradox that I have. Like, the thing, the Western one I kind of like because they kind of tie in some of like the whole.
What was it? Something Bart, Black Bart.
Well, I don't. Are you talking about like Biff's grandfather
Yeah.
or something? Yeah, I don't remember that.
Or no, I think Black Bart is from A Christmas Story.
But yeah, the 2 just kind of I don't know. See how if I was gonna remake the movies, I would remake them in the exact same timeline, 55, 85, 2015, and then make it like that now.
Oh yeah.
It's like it takes place in 1985, but when you go to 2015, you see everything. Because like the future, we're supposed to have hoverboards. I'm not gonna like get into that. Like, oh well, you know, they didn't predict all the stuff. Well, who could?
right.
Nobody had cell phones around in their hands in 2015, which it's what everybody's mindlessly doing, you know. But that was the main thing I had with the issue with Back to the Future was. But the thing I was gonna say about going back in time is, so you say you go back in time and see yourself, and you're talking to yourself. You know that when, let's say you go back half your life ago. So let's say I go back and visit my 15-year-old self. That I know when I was 15, I was having internal dialogue like I'm having now, constantly just thinking about things.
Yeah.
Would you have a feedback loop with your consciousness?
Yeah, it would be terrible.
Like, would you just like be too much because you could hear yourself, and then your past self could hear your future self because you're both in
It'd
the
be
same
like,
thing?
yeah. Do you know what like microphone phasing is?
Yeah.
It'd be like that, and there'd just be an infinite feedback loop.
Yeah, even see the thing is like no matter where you are in the universe at that specific time too. I'm not just talking about Earth, because if you exist in, let's say, 2003, right, and then you go back to 2003, no matter where, even if you're on Mars, you still are in that reality. Like right now, as I think, it's happening in the timeline, right?
Right.
But if I go back, no matter where I'm at, even the moon, Mars, wherever, there's a feedback going on in my brain, because in the entire universe, there's 2 thinking beings that I'm aware of, and they're both myself.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing that I really struggle with other humans, is like understanding that there is an operator going on, you know, in your vessel of consciousness. You're like your body. So that's why I can't tap into the feedback, because my consciousness is not your consciousness. But I wonder if I would go back in time and see myself, if there'd be a huge feedback where just overwhelming of just crazy thoughts going on.
Yeah. Your intrusive thoughts are just thrown into the dryer, and they're just spinning around, just making ruckus.
Yeah.
This morning, my head was on fucking. I had so many intrusive thoughts, but I had the weirdest thing this morning. So I woke up at, I think my alarm went off at 6:45, and I've been obviously doing a lot of crazy research on stuff, and I've been taking CBD before I go to bed just to help me sleep, and it has no psychoactive properties. I just like it because it kind of like chills me out, opens your bloodstream, does all these kinds of things. But I was looking right before I went, I think it was last night before I went to bed, I was looking up remote viewing again, because I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. But this morning, when my alarm went off, I pressed snooze and I went back to bed, and I went to this place and these fucking people. It was, I think, 1920s ish, but the land that I saw, are like the landscape, everything. I was on a street in a town. There's people walking around. There was a really creamy, smooth, that's like film over everything. That's kind of how everything looked. And their faces were really weird, kind of like pasty looking. They had eyes and stuff. My image of it is not crystal clear, but at that moment in my head, either I was lucid dreaming or something, but I thought to myself, I'm remote viewing. Where am I? And I know I've told you before, I've seen other shit like that.
With the sign in the truck.
Yeah. And well, those were dreams, but this has happened when I saw this little otter-looking creature thing in the water. But I wonder if remote viewing is kind of that. You're in a lucid state but awake state, because I know that that's how you astral project and do remote viewing. Is you're not asleep, you're in that fine paper thin area of between awakefulness and sleeping, and that's how you can navigate through other quote unquote densities. I'm gonna use it all the time now.
Yeah.
But I think that that's what I saw, or I don't know if I necessarily was dreaming. It wasn't a dream. I'm very aware of what dreams are, but I remember when I was in this realm, I thought to myself, I'm remote viewing, or whatever it was. It was weird. I've never had anything like it, and I'm not sure if it's because of the CBD or if it's something else weird happened today. I just feel like when you start to really open up your mind and expand your consciousness, these nuances happen and little things happen, and they could either A, actually be part of your whole awakening, or B, just be coincidences.
Yeah, I have no idea. I know exactly what you're talking about, because sometimes when I'm reading late at night, that's why I really can't read late at night, is I'll phase into that while I'm reading, and then my eyes will just keep going over the words, and I will have no idea what I'm reading. I'll just keep flipping pages, and then I'll kind of be in this weird state because my eyes are reading stuff. It happens a lot when I'm reading comics at night. Not so much books, because it's not very visual, but when I would read, it sends me to that world, and so everything's just acting out. And
yeah,
when I'm doing that with comic books, I won't go back and reread, because I'm like, whatever just happened was really cool, and I don't know if I read it that way, or if I was like in the in-between stages of sleeping and awakefulness, where like my mind just made up stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm back, and I'll just keep on reading. And so like sometimes I'll talk about a comic, like, yeah, that never happened in that comic, but I always wonder what that is.
It's like I think it's how people process information. Some people are pictorial, visual. They're very, because when I do the same thing when I read a book, if I'm zoned in on it and my mind is not on anything else but the book, if I put it down and reflect on it, I don't remember words. I'm there. I remember the scene. I remember the picture that was painted with the words in the book. And then if I know how the person talks, and this is probably common for people, if I know how a person talks, when I read an interview with David Lynch,
his voice is like this, he talks like this,
and that's how I read it in my head, and I have a big head of him reading it, and I'm seeing it, read it. So then I reflect back on it. I can tell the story in detail because I was seeing it, and I can remember things better than just reading them.
I don't really read a lot of fiction. The majority of stuff that I read in like books is nonfiction, but with comic books, like obviously they're all going to be fiction.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I am. Like if I'm reading anything for a while there, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago when I was reading, because I was really getting to understanding how people write comics, that all I could hear was, and it was just like me thinking, like when I was reading the comic, that all right, scene 1, the guy flies in, and then
Yeah.
the worst is like I'm reading it like they're writing it,
Right.
and it was just kind of ruining it for
Yeah.
me. But then when I got really into Grant Morrison stuff, everything I can't do a Scottish accent at all, but in my brain, it's Grant Morrison reading the stuff to me. Every character has.
I'm
the
going to
Scottish-
read this to you.
It's something like that's how exactly what was going on in my head is just like him saying this stuff.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, too, is like when I'll try to show videos of like the stuff that he's talking about. People are like, I don't understand a fucking word he's saying,
Yeah.
but I understand him perfectly clear.
Do y'all know what sigil magic is?
Fuck you if you can't understand me.
Yeah.
Like something like that.
I was on drugs. I'm coming up now. So when you read Batman, what character, who from the movies do you read Batman? Whose voice do you hear?
So it's not any actor that's like the physical actor. I don't remember his name, but he's from the animated series.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, from the 90s, the Batman animated
Yeah.
series, like in the New Adventures. That guy's voice, because growing up, that is Batman. And then Mark Hamill, I know he was the Joker in the cartoon series. That is the Joker that I hear in my head. Have you ever played any of the Batman video games?
Yeah, wait.
He's the
Mark
voice.
Hamill was?
Yeah,
Of
Mark
Joker?
Hamill was the Joker, yeah,
In the 90s one?
in the cartoon series.
Kevin Conroy?
Kevin Conroy, yeah. So I'll hear Kevin Conroy's voice in my head as Batman.
Huh. Batman. Whenever I read it, I hear... Light him up.
Oh, Christian Bale?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he just needs a lozenge.
Yeah. Alfred, please. I need a throat thing, please.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I wonder if anybody reads it as George Clooney. Like here's George Clooney as Batman in their head.
I could see. Before that, it would be Michael Keaton for me.
So Michael Keaton, that's probably one of my favorite Batman. Only because he's turtleneck Batman.
Oh yeah.
I don't know why he just constantly wore turtlenecks.
Yeah.
He was like the Steve Jobs of Batman. But the cool thing when Tim Burton was making the movie, what he wanted to do with that movie is not have anything that represents the time. So he wanted that, even though it looks dated now, he wanted it to not look that way. So the cars weren't cars from that era. It was just like a mismatch of just cars. And the same thing for building layouts and structures. He just wanted it to be its own little pocket thing,
Right.
rather than when you watch, you're like, oh, I can, like when you eventually sometime, it's been 10 years since The Dark Knight, and then it's been 13 years since Batman Begins. Eventually in the time, it will be very dated.
Yeah.
It'll look dated, kind of like watching the, Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
What do you think Batman's gonna be like in 50 years?
Like where the stories will take off.
Just kind of because I think about what's his name, Adam, original Batman.
Oh, Adam West.
Yeah, I think of Adam West Batman's, and it's so goofy.
So Grant Morrison kind of explains that. He says that it's all one timeline. So what happened was Batman just got his head completely fucked by Joker toxins. That's what he was seeing, because he was just so out of his head. Because if you read Batman like in the 50s, it's like this pulp noir style, like dark. That's like early Batman, and then he finally meets the Joker in the 60s. Is like bam, pow. He's actually seeing this running around with bombs because he's so out of his head from drugs that basically the Joker's giving him. And he finally comes out of it, and he becomes like stronger. And then that's the 70s Batman, where like he's got all this chest hair, and he's just like this overly masculine type of guy. So that's how he explains it. But that almost killed Batman, because nobody was really used to Batman doing that type of stuff. It was more of like a sitcom-y type of thing for like a TV show. They tried doing that inside the comics, and it just was not working, and Batman was just tanking. And then if it wasn't for Neil Adams taking Batman over and making Batman back to the Dark Knight, Batman probably would have just completely failed. Like that's Grant Morrison's favorite Batman writer is Neil Adams.
But I wonder what he's gonna in the future. Is it gonna be Batman battling aliens, or
We battles aliens now.
I know you're huge. I love comics. I know you're huge into it, but I think that in 20 years they just need to kill Batman.
Well, they did kill Batman.
I mean,
Well, Grant Morrison killed Batman.
right? Don't write any more comics about him.
Like, so Batman's just dead? Well, he's a cash cow, dude. Like, you can't.
I know, but can't our generation, or however long back, can't we just have something that's not affected by whatever's gonna happen? People actually, it probably won't even survive because by that point, people are going to be so not into.
Yeah. So, not to keep on talking about Grant Morrison, but he's got this actual book called Super Gods, and he explains how superheroes actually shape our culture. Because right now, like superheroes in the '90s comic books, in the '80s and '90s that was it. Like if you're writing comics, you're becoming like a millionaire by writing and drawing comics. Today that doesn't exist. You're basically in like corporate minimum wage pays for like writing and drawing comics.
Because of capitalism.
Exactly, tanked, dude. Like, what was happening in like the '90s is the comics were being really like the older ones from like the '40s, the '30s, '40s, and '50s were a lot of money, like selling for a lot of money, and so they started coming out with a whole bunch of variant covers. And there's this whole like theory of why the comic book bubble bursted, but in the '90s it was like at the highest. Like they were selling like the number one selling comic of all time is by Jim Lee in the art and the Giant Brian by the writer, which is X-Men #1. It sold 8 million copies. Today, the number one selling comic might sell close to 250,000 copies.
Yeah.
But how Grant Morrison explains it is, I think what it is, what we're experiencing is a kind of a it's shaping. It's towards the end of it, I think. But it was basically in right around like the mid 2000s of superhero movies. That's how they wanted their superhero medium. So it'll just take a different form. Like
Yeah.
like back then it was just comic books, and then now like comic books still exist, but it'll just be a different medium. It might be, I don't know what it could possibly be.
A piece of thin plastic that you just tap on it till you're done with it and just throw it away.
Like if you think about it, go back to radio. Like this isn't in Grant Morrison's book. This is just like me talking about it. But like it was radio shows. Like what were some of like the like Zorro and things like those all existed in radio, and then to TV and then
Right.
to movies. Like whatever is the next thing after
Yeah.
that, that's where it'll exist at.
Virtual reality.
Yeah, it could be like virtual reality comic books. Like you're actually in it, and you
They'll
can
write a comic and you have to pick a character to partake in it.
Yeah, who would you pick? Like if you're any comic book, Marvel, DC,
Spawn.
you pick Spawn.
Yeah.
Dude, Spawn would be so scary though.
I would just want to kill that fucking fat jog Leguizamo clown fucker.
The Eradicator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the Violator.
The Violator. Yeah,
I'm not I'm not the Eradicator. I'm not the whatever. I'm the Violator.
That scene is cool though.
I loved that movie when I was a kid.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're redoing it. Isn't it Jamie Foxx?
Oh, I don't know, but that'd be really cool if it was Jamie Foxx.
Or wait,
Because I know who's writing it is Todd McFarlane, who's actually the creator of
Right.
Spawn, and he's also directing it. So it's his actual vision this time.
I think it is Jamie Foxx.
But if it's Jamie Foxx would be a really good choice for it.
Oh,
for Al Simmons.
I forgot who, and I don't know if it's 100%, but I remember I was excited about who was potentially going to play it.
Yeah, Spawn. I remember going to the theaters with my dad and seeing Spawn, and I just remember just being blown
Yeah,
away.
Jamie Foxx.
That's so cool. I'm so glad that he's gonna be.
It says confirmed to play Spawn.
Who's gonna be the Violator?
I don't know. Hopefully, maybe John Leguizamo. Maybe they'll upgrade his character.
Yeah, but he just plays Sid from the Ice Age because he's the voice.
Yeah.
They just do that, or Danny DeVito.
That would be funny.
Just an amalgam of Danny DeVito and him.
Oh, so. Oh, never mind. This isn't the same scene. Or this isn't the same article.
So why would you be Spawn? Like, dude, he's got so many different powers.
Just because I don't know. Dark. He can chill in hell. He can chill up here. He can eat hot dogs. He's got a cool dog.
Yeah, he's the only thing that's.
What's his dog's name?
I don't remember his dog's name. Well, there's two different Spawns. After I didn't read Spawn that much when I was growing up because it was pretty dark. But Al Simmons ended up getting rid of the mantle of Spawn, and then somebody else took over Spawn for a while, and then Al Simmons came back as Spawn. But there's a bunch of different Spawns. Like that's just the name of these.
Yeah, they're the
creatures.
soldiers of the devil.
Yeah, because you have to like do their work, or whatever. But yeah, I always liked Spawn.
God, I can't find the name of his dog. I want to say it's like Spike.
Something just generic as a dog name. I'm pretty excited that Jamie Foxx is going to be Spawn. He's going to be a good Spawn.
Yeah, I hope he. I mean, I like him as an actor. Some stuff he's stupid in, but
I don't know the
Sparky.
oh, Sparky.
Hey, Sparky. Or no, Spaz.
You know, my favorite animal name in any film is from the movie Kick-Ass. And have you ever seen Kick-Ass?
Yeah, I don't remember it though.
Okay, so he's walking around. This is the first Kick-Ass. He's walking around trying to find this cat. And he's on top of like this billboard ledge. So Kick-Ass climbs up the thing. And it's one of my favorite lines in a movie is he's like, because cats don't listen to anybody.
Right.
So the cat's name's Mr. Bitey. So he's like, come here, Mr. Bitey. Come here. And then he's falling off the thing and he goes, fuck you, Mr. Bitey. And then falls on top of this one dude. And then like this whole fight scene happens. But I don't know why. I always loved that scene. Because he's just trying to get this cat. Like that's what like, he decides to be a superhero and he's just saving cats.
Right. Ugh. Yeah, Jamie Foxx will be good in that. I'm glad they're redoing. Are redoing so. There's no like new stuff coming out.
Yeah, it's all
reboots.
It's either reboots or it's superhero stuff or things based on comic books.
Right.
Because the material's already there. They don't need to make storyboards or anything like that. Mark Miller, a ton of his comic books have made into movies like Kingsman, like Secret Service, Wanted, even the Captain America Civil War that's based on his comic book.
Yeah.
Like I think he's number 2 out of all comic books made into movies. Stan Lee's number 1, obviously.
Right.
Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, but I would like to see my favorite, and they just came out with a mini series is Plastic Man, Eel O'Brien from DC Comics. He's like a criminal and gets into like a vat of chemicals, and I don't know how they're gonna do his updating of it, but like they haven't made a Plastic Man comic. I just love Plastic Man because his stuff is just so stupid. He just changes into like a briefcase and just walks people to like
yeah.
I don't know. He's the coolest. They should make a Plastic Man movie.
I mean, I think in general movies are just. I don't really like to go to the movies. Anyways, the last movie I saw was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because I loved them when I was a kid.
They made a new movie of it? Oh, yeah, I forgot.
3 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, they made... How many are there now, 2?
I think 2. The last one was with Bebop and Rocksteady. It was
I always
pretty
loved
cool.
Bebop and Rocksteady.
But before that, it was Prometheus.
And Bob?
No, the movie Prometheus, the Alien prequel. But
Okay.
I loved Prometheus and Bob from Kablam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Action League now, dude, I loved that. But Prometheus was awesome. I saw that. I was like, because I loved Alien and Predator and all that stuff. But I would have went and saw, what was that Alien movie not too long ago? Arrival. Yeah, Arrival.
That was part of Aliens?
No. It was different.
Okay.
It was different. But I would have went and seen that.
Because I know they're remaking Predator.
Yeah.
And I think another Alien movie.
Yeah. But and that's what they're doing. They're either revamping old movies or they're continuing movie stories. And to me, there is not. We haven't reached the peak of imagination.
I think what it is, though, is there's certain movies that are coming out that truly try to do that. Like, if it wasn't for The Matrix, we wouldn't really have the bullet time exploited and high effective, like, special effects. Like, that movie, I think, really changed the way we view movies, especially when it was made almost 20 years ago. But for the most part, like, movies just, like I said, or what you were saying is, they just kind of follow this pattern of, like, oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was based on a comic book, 35 years ago. Let's make that into a movie. Kids liked that when they're growing up, right? Let's make another Spider-Man movie. Like, I remember when I saw Amazing Spider-Man, the second, like, the reboot of it, I think it came out in, 2012 or something?
I have no idea.
Maybe 2011. One thing that just made me really laugh was when Uncle Ben died. Somebody's like just in the movie theater just screaming out like no, because everybody knew Uncle Ben was gonna die.
Right.
It's kind of like the same thing if you watch Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. You see Bruce Wayne and his dad Thomas and his mom Martha Wayne just die. Like oh, okay, how many times do we have to see this on the reboots? That type of thing.
Everyone's caught up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like common knowledge now how Batman becomes Batman type of thing. Like, Superman's an alien. You don't need to keep showing that type of thing. But yeah, the only movies that I will actually go watch is I wish I could really get into the DC Universe movies, but they're just really poorly written. They're just not fun.
I cannot watch them.
They're so bad. I own Justice League and I have yet to watch it. I might watch it this weekend. But the Marvel movies, like I'm really, because the Marvel movies to me is the video version of reading the comics. It's like you're reading the Avengers and you want to find out, you know, what's going on with Black Panther. There's his movie, you know, or you know, you're back in the Avengers and everything's going on. You see what's going on with Thor, and like how every piece of the movie is just linking up to this ultimate thing, which is the Infinity War.
Didn't that already happen, that movie?
Yeah, so the second one will come out in May of 2019 to tie in the whole thing together using the Infinity Stones. But like that, like when you're a kid just reading all these comic books that kind of tie into one larger story, Marvel did that perfectly. And that's why I think after Avengers 4, which is going to be, I don't know what they're going to call it, but that comes in May, the whole thing they've been working for at that point in time will be 11 years is done. Like they can they bought X-Men, they can bring X-Men into it and, you know, have X-Men versus Avengers and do all that stuff. But the main characters, like they don't want to be the superheroes anymore. Robert Downey Jr. doesn't want to be Iron Man anymore. And same thing for Chris Evans, he doesn't want to be Captain America. I think Chris Hemsworth wants to be Thor for a little bit, but like eventually these things will be tired out. Like people won't want to go see these movies. Even though the money is still there for it, they're still going to make these movies. But those are the only movies that I see. And there's like, I'll watch like a video like on YouTube and it'll be a preview for a movie. I'm like, oh, that kind of looks cool. And the downside to movie trailers now, even though like they're 2 minutes long, is they ruin the whole movie for me.
Yeah.
Like they don't leave any sort of mystery.
Well,
like,
in most like funny movies, all of the funniest parts are in the preview. Or scary movies, most of the scariest parts are in the previews.
I won't watch scary movies, but the thing that really, I don't know why it irritates me a little bit, but it's like we all see the previews for these funny movies, right? And then in the theaters or in home video when you're watching it, that funny part comes up, and like the people you're watching with just laugh ecstatically about it. Like, that's not funny.
Right.
Like, are you just doing that to like?
Right.
I not really get like, are you laughing because you think it's funny and that's because you've seen it so many times, or is it actually like you laugh because there's certain scenes?
Or it's like an inside joke, and it's you're being reminded of the time you saw it, and it's you know.
I don't really laugh repeatedly at the same stuff over and over again unless it's The Big Lebowski. Like the whole scene where he's dumping the ashes out.
Oh yeah.
that scene.
God damn it, Donnie.
That scene makes me laugh so hard every time.
That's not what he says. Donnie was the guy that...
He says Walter. Yeah. Or the scene where Donnie actually dies.
Yeah.
And he goes...
that's so sad.
Yeah. Where he's, like, there's no shots fired or anything. Or where he goes, no, Donnie, they're not going to... I forget what he says. He goes, these guys are nihilists. You know, like, the people on the...
Yeah.
But that movie will still make me laugh.
Yeah. I laugh very hard at... YouTube videos of just people getting fucked up, punched. I mean, I'm sure everyone does, but like people, for some reason, there's this video on YouTube of this woman's talking shit about this other woman's daughter, and the woman of the mom of the girl who the other woman's talking shit about walks up and just decks her in the face. And every time I watch that probably once every month, just it's so damn funny. Or like the videos of the people popping out of trash cans to scare people and they get like knocked the fuck out.
You know what video I watch on like repeat at least once a month is Chum Dum the Bedrum.
What's that?
It's this musician called Vitus. And he's like this tall, slender man with like this helmet, and he's got like, I think he's Russian, and he just sings these songs. It's from like 2001, and his dance is like this. You would love it.
Send it to me.
The music is hilarious. Like, if I could go back in time, I would waste it to go to like one of his shows.
Oh,
because he walk into like boots and stuff, and it's so he's got like sparklers.
Did you ever see Salad Fingers?
Salad Fingers, I've never thought was funny.
It was not funny. It's just creepy.
It's just weird. Yeah.
I love the feeling of the rusty spoon.
And he's just like, yeah,
my salad fingers.
I never got it.
I love that.
Do you remember watching Superfly as a kid? Like Superfly, and it's like a fly. And
the movie?
No. It was just like a fly, like a cartoon fly that would just like talk. And you'd always just like smoke weed and just talk random shit, and then he'd just end up dying.
No.
I used to watch that. I think it was like in 4th grade or something when that came out.
You said Slender Man. Have you ever heard of Slender Man?
Yeah. Do you ever watch the pranks?
What is it?
The Slender Man pranks.
No.
Oh, dude, you would love them, man. It's like a guy dressed in a suit and everything, and just tall and slender and everything, and then it's people walking to their cars in a parking garage real late at night. They'll turn a corner and they see him just like walking towards him, and they'll freak out and run.
I've seen like pranks of people in clown costumes or shit like that. But have you have you watched videos of supposed real footage of like the Slender Man?
So, no, not all of it, but I saw the preview to the movie of it.
Oh, the two girls that murder the other girl in the woods.
And he like you say his name or something.
Slenderman 3 times or some shit like that, like Bloody Mary.
Yeah, or Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what you're talking about. Are you talking about these two girls say that Slenderman told them to kill this other girl?
Yeah, because they got inside their head.
Yeah, they like lured. The two girls lured the other girl to their, I think it was a trailer or something, and then took her out in the woods and like stabbed her to death or some shit. Some other fucked up story. What do you know how that ended? Was it?
No, I don't do well with scary stuff.
Well, it's a documentary.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I know they got arrested and stuff, but I'm not sure the paranormal facts of that, if they said that he got in their head. But anyways, I've seen this video. I've looked up a lot of creepy videos about Slender Man, and there's this one. It's so goddamn freaky. It's this guy just bought a new bike, and he puts this camera up on a tripod on this. It's kind of a misty day. I think it's over in it might be in the UK somewhere, but it's like very almost like Seattle looking atmosphere, very cloudy, very
like London fog,
very foggy. There's like a grassy knoll and then some trees and shit. But this guy just bought this new bike, and he was just videotaping himself riding on it. I don't know, for whatever reason. And you see it, and in the background, you just see this fucker, this tall, lengthy, black fucker, just fucking cruising across the knoll slow. And it is the scariest damn thing. So then I just look up more and more, and there's other...
See, that's where I quit. As soon as I'm like, no, I'm done.
Well, he didn't see it till after.
No, I'm saying if I'm watching the video, I'm done. Like, you ever see the one where the guy's hunting and he's got his night vision on, and this weird white monster gets in front and stares at it and then like leaves?
Yeah. No, there's a video. There's a compilation video on YouTube that's got a lot of that stuff. There's one, the one that I saw, the Slender Man, and there's one where this creature runs across a highway. And then, I mean, there's tons of them. There's tons of weird ones. Have you seen the one, there's a Mothman one, which, have you ever heard about, like, the Mothman?
The only thing I know about Mothman is from The Tick.
Yeah. No, so I think this was in the 70s or the 60s. There was reports in this town. I can't remember the name of the town. I think it was, like, I think it was somewhere in New Jersey, maybe. But so the Mothman is like this humanoid figure that flies around at night and kills you, basically fucks you up. It was in, I think it was in the 60s or 70s, like I said. It was in West Virginia. It was seen in Point Pleasant area from November 2nd, 1966 to December 15th, 1967. But this couple sees this man-sized bird thing at one point, and then later on in the night they see it again or something, and then it's at their house. And I can't remember if people get killed by it, but it's just like another creepy, supernaturally kind of thing, kind of like similar to Slender Man. But I always wonder if either was it just someone that took crazy hallucinogenics and was like, I'm gonna dress up like this person or this thing and just go be fucking weird, you know? Or could it be an actual creature from another dimension?
I don't know. I'm see, the thing is, like, I don't believe in it, but I don't want a reason to believe in it, if that makes sense.
You don't want to see it.
Yeah, I don't want any of that stuff. Like, the scary stuff, just, I don't know, I don't like. That's one emotion I don't like feeling, is scared. Unless I know right after it's going to be humor. You know what I'm saying? Like when you watch those compilation videos of people dressed like a clown and then like, dude, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
Humor afterwards makes it way better. When there's no humor and they just leave you with that emotion, I hate that feeling. I hate being scared. Like listening to the sounds of people recording stuff. Do you ever listen to that?
When like voices come in.
Yeah, or the one that like is really freaky is this guy is in this abandoned psych ward or a hospital ward, I'm sorry, and he records late at night stuff and he's like playing it back and then he hears water and then a kid screaming.
Oh, I've seen that.
Drowning. And then they find out that there's been no water underneath the building and then he finds out again that somebody's kid died drowning there.
Yeah.
Like, it's things like that.
Well, I spent the night one time on my 20-something birthday. Do you know what the Lemp Mansion is?
I've heard of it.
It's in St. Louis. It's a brewery.
I think I've actually been inside of it.
Maybe.
Because they do art shows and stuff in there, the Lemp Brewery?
Possibly. My band used to have, you could rent out rooms in a portion of the Lemp Brewery, and your band could practice in there.
It's huge, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then it smells like dog food, right?
Well, there's a mansion. There's the Lemp Mansion, then there's the Lemp Brewery. So
I'm talking about the actual brewery. I don't think I've ever been inside the mansion.
Well, it's not a brewery anymore.
I know, but I'm saying inside that thing because it's like almost just like an empty warehouse. And then I remember just like wandering. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing, but if this is right, I was just wandering around and there was just mountains of clothes, just in one weird area. Like I don't know how it was like this huge thing, and it's got different floors, like different levels, right? And then just clothes just piled.
Maybe, I don't know.
Tons of clothes.
Yeah.
I have no idea why they're there.
Yeah.
It was just there was no lights in that area either.
Yeah, it could have been.
And everything smelled like dog food. It was weird.
But I spent the night in the actual mansion on my birthday one year, and you basically you pay and they lock you in there. I don't think there's a caretaker or anything there, and you stay in one of the rooms, but basically like the dad offed himself and then the mom offed herself, the brother, someone offed themselves. Apparently they had a mutant child that lived up in the attic and shit. They had haunted houses and stuff there obviously later on, but you can feel something weird in that house, and it's not just I believe in supernatural stuff, in paranormal stuff, but I don't believe in it. I don't believe that it can make me be freaked out because via circumstances, via like my head. Like if I'm in a haunted place, I'm gonna look at it in an objective thing. I'm like, if I don't see anything, I don't see anything. I'm not gonna let my head get to me. But in this place, there's this feeling of, I don't know if it's a feeling of death or a feeling of what happened there or something. It's over these catacombs too. There's a lot of weird shit that happened in the catacombs. But there was definitely a weird feeling in there, and I heard shit in there. There's this group of people there, and they had one of those, I forget what they're called, white noise things that
like crackle and make
shoots radio frequencies, and like I definitely heard shit coming in there. I don't know if it was just chance or whatever, but I heard stuff in there. But I think that kind of stuff is definitely real.
Yeah, see how you're saying is like, oh, your mind, if you're walking through not a haunted house, because I know haunted houses, like when you go in there, those things don't really scare me because I know they're humans, the actors pretty much is doing stuff. But when it's things like that, what you're saying, I can't shut off my brain to make it think rational. Like my brain immediately goes to, yeah, this is all real. Even when I'm watching movies and I get super freaked out, and then I'll just like the next like 2 weeks is the worst trying to sleep. I hate what it does. It just freaks me out. Like if you told me like this house is haunted, like here's a good one. The last place I lived at was with one of my childhood friends. Was his home, and he says he's like swore it was haunted. And one night I'm just like sleeping in there because he would work nights and I work days, so we would rarely ever see each other. And I was asleep and I heard this girl scream loud. I don't know if I ever said that, like talked about this or not, but she screamed like super loud, like on the top of her lungs. And I instantly woke up and I was terrified to open my eyes.
Oh, you told me this, yeah.
To see if she's standing there. And then like, yeah, later on my friend was like, yeah, dude, I heard that too. But he wasn't messing with me at all. And like, but yeah, he would just say that his house is just completely
Yeah.
haunted. But
Well, I think we talked about that on one of the podcasts.
yeah, I think so too. But like, I wouldn't feel comfortable sleeping. You know, like,
Yeah.
and the same thing for just being there alone. And I don't know, like his dog was there, so like if his dog picked up on something, which he never did, but I always felt like that was kind of like a comfort thing. Like if something was in the house, the dog would pick it up too.
Oh yeah, they can
Um,
see that shit because they wavelengths. They see different
Yeah.
wavelengths. Than
So
we
like
do.
he never did anything like that. But if that dog wasn't there, I probably would have lost my mind, dude.
Yeah.
Because that stuff really, really gets to me. Like I said, even watching a movie, scary stuff.
when what's really creepy is so like in this room across there is our bedroom, and we'll be laying in bed, and like this door will be open, that door will be open, and Magnus, our cat, will just be laying there, and out of nowhere he'll stand up on his hind legs and just look in here, and he'll look at corners in the walls and stuff, and just out of nowhere they'll act weird, or like, I mean, I don't know if this house is haunted. I think I'd be able to feel it. I'm not saying in like a weird way that I have a sense for those sorts of things, but I've seen a ghost. I've already talked about that, I think, on the podcast, and Mercedes has even seen, we both had an encounter together, and I swear that whatever ghost it is, it follows me around. I don't know if it's something from a previous life or if it's a family member or a guardian angel or something, but she saw it and I felt it one time, so I know I'm not fucking crazy. We were sitting, I
Yeah.
think I told the story about how we were sitting in the kitchen and she was on the counter facing me and I was facing her. I was like, we were just hanging out, and there was like in between a song or something, and I felt a hand go across my head, and I looked up at her, and she had the same what the fuck look was that on her face, and she's like, what? And I was like, did you just see something? She's like, yeah, I just saw something go past your head. And I was like, yeah, I felt that. So like, I know that shit exists.
Yeah, like I said, I don't believe in it, but I do not want a reason to believe in it because it would just, I don't know, my mind, I can't handle stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, but the weird thing is though, is like video games. Like when I was younger, scary video games were my thing, dude. Like Doom 3, loved Doom 3, and then same thing for Half-Life and Half-Life 2. Scary games. I don't know if it's because I'm in control of the video game. I can just shut it off at any time. I'm not in control of a movie per
Yeah.
se. You know, like I can leave the movie, but the thing's still playing in my head. But I know when I'm interacting with a video game, it's not real at all. The
Right.
BioShock series, those things are my favorite.
Yeah.
But I don't play games or anything anymore.
Was
but
that
like,
the game with the with the laughing girl?
There was a bunch of those. Yeah, where you'd hear them in the distance. And
Yeah,
could see
you
'em.
hear.
Yeah, and she like kind of talked to herself.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, and it was an underwater world, dude. Yeah, those games were cool to me, but I don't know. Like I just enjoyed playing those. But if it's anything else, people's stories, like as you sit there, I'm like, yeah, I believe it. You know, like, I 100% believe this stuff. But when I leave, I'm like, nah, it's not real. Trying to talk myself out of it.
Yeah.
That's not real because I never really had an.
Maybe
encounter
that's
or
why
anything.
you don't believe in aliens, or you know, you're skeptical because there's a part of your subconscious that's afraid to accept it.
Well, the alien stuff doesn't really scare me, like as much as like dead human ghosts and stuff. The only type of things that would scare me of an alien, I always, for a while there, I was afraid to go to sleep because sometimes I'll just like kind of think about things too heavily, especially at night when my for some reason at night I question everything, like, oh, this reality's not real, like everything just hits me at once, and then I go to sleep and wake up the next morning like, oh, okay, it's another day. But I was thinking about aliens, and then if I got abducted, and I was like reminding myself, when you're up there,
grab something.
grab something, just grab something, grab something. But then I remember talking to my friend, and he's like, dude, they just erase your mind when you're
Right.
up there. They just completely erase your mind.
Yeah, in one of the interviews, Men in Black, one of the interviews with I think either the Emery Smith guy or the Corey guy, said that they used to erase people's minds, like workers who worked with the aliens. If something happened or whatever, they'd have to erase their mind. They used to give them a chemical that would erase their mind, but now they do have the Men in Black thing, the little flash or whatever it is, some sort of light wave that zaps their memory.
Yeah, I don't know. I always come to those things with skepticism, but I come to a lot of things with being a skeptic though. Like if I don't, it's not like I have to see to believe type of thing. It's not that at all. It's just there has to be kind of evidence. Like I've never seen the Earth being round. There's a ton of evidence proving that the Earth is round, so I'm going to go with that sort of evidence, stuff like that. But if it's I don't know, aliens. It's fun to talk about and like kind of like think about. Like there's this underground seediness to it, you know, where they're controlling everything, and then this is the reason why we have higher technology and stuff. It's kind of a cool story, and I'm really into science fiction, so I can kind of like get along with the idea a little bit, but just like really diving in deep. Like if an alien came here, like you said, I'm like, yeah, like the probability of there not being aliens is way smaller.
100 billion trillion.
Yeah, but the probability of there being actual intelligent aliens, I'm pretty sure it's probably, you know, more likely. But I don't know, I just from like them being here and operating stuff. If they were that way, and they were operating and controlling humans and stuff, like okay, that's it. We're just in a different form of slavery. Okay.
Well, we
Yeah.
are in slavery, actually. Money.
Well, I know. That's I forget who said it, but basically, we are all in modern slavery, because here's the thing: if you go back to the early colonies where we had Africans and Scottish slaves, that they gave them a home to live in and they gave them food to eat. So what they did was they did the job that they didn't want to do. So the farmer, let's say for example, the slaves would go out and till the field and plant the seeds and all that, and gather everything. That was theirs, and like their job, and they got to sleep in a home and have food. The difference between then and now is you can say it's not against our will, which is true, but we need a home to pay for and we need food to pay for. So we go do these jobs that we don't want to do to get the money to buy that. So it's just modern slavery. It's just they add in a little element of money in between to have like a buffer. And then they say, well, you don't really have to work. Well, if you don't work, what happens? You will starve to death because you can't afford food. Or you might go to jail. But still, even if you go to jail, you get free food, free dental, all that stuff.
Right.
You know? But yeah, I 100% believe that the modern workforce, the traditional workforce, even if you are a musician or an artist for something, you are still kind of enslaved to the system of money.
Right.
Like if you, let's say you're making music, right? And one song that you just happen to write, because when you're on these like indie labels, I don't really think that they're that controlling. But you make one hit song on an indie label, and then major labels want you, and then they want it to sound like that, repeatedly sound like that.
Right.
So you're kind of stuck to what they want, and you know you signed, they gave you money. And the same thing for like the 9-to-5 job is they're just paying you to do a job that you don't really want to do, and you know. When you come home from work, you think that you're going to do all these creative things because you are a creative being, and you just can't do it. Like, okay, well, I'll get to it on Saturday and Sunday because I have, you know, full days to do whatever I want. And then you find out that there's a lot of stuff that you couldn't do because you had to go do your tasks around the house. Maybe it's cleaning or cutting grass or any sort of yard work, you know, getting groceries for the week, or, you know, getting your normal your supplies for like cleaning supplies, or you know, detergents for washing machine, anything like that. It sucks up your time because you couldn't do it after work.
Right.
We could do it after work, but a lot of things are kind of closed. But yeah, I think it's just modern slavery. It's we're all enslaved to
Well,
it.
and this is like a circulating theme that we have going on here, is the 9-to-5 and that whole thing. But I learned about this idea. Have you heard of it? The Babylonian money magic.
No, sounds cool though.
Yeah, so it's basically, so money is based on something that was created in Babylonian time. Babylonia was before Christ, right? Yeah, I think that's right. It was created, what, I don't know how many thousands of years ago, or if it was even thousands of years ago. But anyways, but money was created so long ago, and it hasn't changed. The idea of money has not changed. You work for something and you buy something. That has not changed in this whole time. And what Babylonian money magic, I think the thesis of it basically is like, people create money. So like back then there was no money, so someone just created money, right? And then that was the means in which you measured your worth, I guess, you know.
Yeah. So, and you're trading of goods and services.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how they monetize that. I get that. But so if you think about it, like, it's still going on nowadays. Like, we're so in debt as a country, but for like loans and stuff, you sign up for a loan and you all of a sudden have $2,500 in your bank account. That money was not real. It's not real. It's magic. I think that's kind of like what they get at with it. It's magic. There's not someone that took $2,500 out of a bank and put it into your account. It's just they have whoever is at the very top of that chain. They are the money creators, the money makers. They're just creating money, and then in turn, that money was created out of nowhere, and you just give it. You actually give your real money. Well, I guess it's not your real money, but it's monetized in your head because you worked for it. You spent 40 hours slaving over, or not slaving over, but doing whatever you do to have this other money in your account to pay back to this other thing that wasn't even real money. So like the idea of money in itself is kind of just all this like almost like fake system. You're required, and it's modern slavery, like you said, like you're required to sit somewhere for 40 hours if you work a 9 to 5 every day from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You're required to sit somewhere to make money, to just throw back into something else, and it just keeps recycling itself. And I think what I think about it is that personal loans, credit cards, that money was never really, I don't think it ever really existed. I think someone just issued you a plastic card to get you to buy in, to give your other money to them so that they're just getting more money. I don't know. I can't articulate
I know what you're saying. To me, when I think of money, I think of the whole idea of, if you ever played Super Mario, like the first one, is you just go around collecting tokens.
Right.
Just coins and tokens. And the things that they buy you is only an extra life.
Right.
As soon as you get to 100 coins, accumulatively throughout the entire, however long it takes you to get those, you get an extra life type of thing.
Yeah.
So all it is just life tokens.
Yeah.
That's how I view money. It's in the number one belief system in the world. Yeah,
there's this thing that I've been looking into. I want to get one of these people on here. I just connected with one of them on Facebook, but here's one of those nuances, or one of those weird happenings that I was talking about. When you start searching for knowledge and stuff, things happen. So my friend, who I want to get on this podcast too, Danny, the guy that did one of those retreats, my brother's wife's brother, he's super into all this kind of stuff and meditating and all that. I asked him if he had any friends or if he knew anyone out here that was just kind of into the same kind of thing, and he said, yeah. So he connected with me with these people, and these people were like, oh yeah, we're a part of the community. It's called the Ubuntu tribe. Ubuntu? UBUNTU. Ubuntu. I can't pronounce it. Tribe. So it's just this group of people. They have like a healing or like a spiritual center here in Kansas City. But it's just kind of like-minded people, like we talk about spirituality, meditation, being conscious, raising your consciousness, and that sort of thing. And then today, watching this video, this guy talks about his Ubuntu project, and it's like an actual thing where it's trying to create a community. I think Ubuntu in African means like myself through everyone else. So basically what it is they want to create a system where everyone lives in this community, and no one has necessarily jobs. They just all have kind of like tasks. No one is a janitor. Someone cleans the shit up on Tuesday. There's no money. You get to stay there by offering what your craft is, or whatever your art is, whatever you can create, and then also by upkeep, right? And the dude is like a huge advocate of like getting rid of money, because money is what is fueling the dark, the fucking people underground running these alien experiments and shit. The Majestic Nine, the super dark government, the super compartmentalized facets of the regime of whoever is ruling, the United States or maybe even the world. But he's convinced that the only way that we as people will ever truly be free, and that, that sort of thing, is by getting rid of money and moving into this this sort of system where it's based on what you have to offer, kind of, but taking money out of it. And I think some of it's a little bit utopian sounding and a little unrealistic, but I mean, I definitely get it. And I was talking to my brother today, and I was like, as I was saying it, I had an epiphany. I was like, everything in your life requires money. A roof over your head, you have to pay money. So you're just giving money back to them. You work, but you use that money to drive because you have to drive to work. You could walk to work, but you're still paying taxes for the roads that you're walking on. Tons of examples like that. But it's so fucked up that you cannot go just camp. Like, you can't pull over on the side of the highway and camp there. You'll get in trouble because there's no way for them to monetize it or make money over it.
Yeah, I always view money as how valuable was your time spent. So Jeff Bezos, his time spent is extremely valuable, whereas somebody that is working a 9-to-5 office job is not nearly as valuable.
Right. And they're not even, if you think about it, for the companies, they're paying you, however X amount of dollars a day, $200, $300 a day, based on you working 8 hours, but you're only working 2 hours, and they know that, and they're fine with it because the return is so much greater that's just a small fraction.
Yeah, and the thing that really gets me, and I don't understand why people buy into it so much, is a 401k.
Yeah, I don't put money in it.
I did mine just because why not, But the idea that money that you have today is going to somehow be worth a lot of money in the future. Let's say I have $40,000 in an IRA, or I'm sorry, a 401k. You think $40,000 by the time I retire, which is more than half, double my life, from now, is going to be worth anything? No, $40,000 even 30 years ago, that's a lot. Take it 30 years to now, that's not that much as it was back then.
I think
it's like a scam.
Yeah.
And same thing for benefits too. I got medical, I got all this stuff. I'm pretty sure if you had zero insurance and you broke your arm, you can go get it fixed. They're not going to deny you. You'll just have to pay a lot for it later. And then you just let it go. And then, this is probably terrible advice for people, but you just let it go and then have a collections agency take it over. And then the collections agency just bought your debt.
Right. And then sure, you have a bad
credit, but
yeah.
But if you pay for everything in cash anyways. But yeah, to me, the whole idea of this 9-to-5 workforce is old. It seems archaic in the way that it is structured. The weird things were you have to execute everything perfectly. You have to do all your filing reports, to the T for it's seemingly nothing. Logging all of your phone calls is for seemingly nothing. What I my last job where I was working 9-to-5, I swear, and I would talk about this to everybody, that all it was one giant experiment to see how long it takes us to lose our fucking mind. Because everything, when you're working there, it is inevitable that once a day the elevator would go down. We have fix and repairs coming to the elevator. To me, when I fix something, if it breaks tomorrow, I didn't fix it.
Right.
I don't understand why the elevator broke so much, and it was just, even though that wasn't truly part of the job, it's just maybe the building was old.
Right.
I don't get it, but
well, so money, you say that, so I think, I don't know the specific number, but I'm pretty sure 50 to 60 years, in the last 50 to 60 years, the dollar has gone down 96%. So I think
if you have $1 in a 401k in 50 years, you will have 6 cents or 4 cents.
Well, yeah. So this number I'm looking at right now says that in 1950, $100 was equal to $995. $100 had the same purchase power as $995 in 2016. That's almost 100% inflation. But if you look at it the other way, of dollar loss.
So basically you're spending, let's just keep it round, is you're spending $9,500 for something that 50 years ago would cost $100.
No, $1,000 for $100.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. So let's say back in the day, a Fender American-made Strat in 1950 was $100. It's $1,000 now, and that makes sense because my grandpa bought a Fender Strat in 1940 something or something for $100.
1946, because that's like when it started.
Yeah, somewhere.
That'd be kind of cool if it was original.
Well, unfortunately, he took it apart and tried to fix it and spray painted it and was gonna like paint it and stuff, and it got lost in the mix. I was like, that guitar nowadays would be like $60,000.
Yeah, especially if it was in the
Yeah.
1946.
But an American-made Strat now, off the shelf, is $1,000. So that's the perfect example. A car back then, $2,500. Now, $25,000 used or whatever, you know. But that's just ridiculous that the dollar amount has gone down that much. And I don't get it because they're just they can create money.
Yeah, here's the thing too that I don't understand is I really want to try to do more research on this, because the thing that I don't get is how people immediately bought back into the whole system that failed them 8 years ago. The whole system just failed. The recession.
Yeah.
So like that happened. Everybody lost like their 401k, their homes, everything. They lost it all. And guess where it's back? It's back to how it is. Or guess where it is? Like it's back to how it was.
Right.
But like to me, like I grew up through that. So I got to see me graduating college. I was actually going through some of my old emails from 2011, 2012, 2013 to find a 9-to-5 office job with my business degree that I got in 2010. Nobody was hiring at all. And then 5 years later, it took me 5 years to get a business job. And it wasn't me not applying. I used to have this journal of all the jobs I applied to. It would probably be about 10 to 15 jobs a day. Monday through Friday, that was my full-time job, is trying to find a full-time job. And I remember it was recently I just went back through my emails. I would do everything creative to try to get a job where like I made my resume like a superhero comic book page, or just have like a watermark of a drawing of myself. Just weird things to stand out. Nobody was hiring. But like I was saying, the thing that I don't get is how people went right back to how it was normal. Like, don't you know they fucked you over?
Right. And they're going to do it again?
It will happen again sometime because nobody learns from their lesson.
Well, they're prepping it. A whole bunch of... I heard on the news the other day, they were like, oh, yeah, people are spending money again. Everyone's doing well, so they're going to up, the percentages of APRs on credit cards and all that kind of stuff. People are saying pay off your credit cards real quick because the money's about to go up, that you're going to have to start paying more money. And I don't fucking get it because it's like, I can't even get started on taxes because it's the most ludicrous fucking thing on the face of the planet.
Yeah.
And the amount of money they take out, and I don't see shit from it. There's still potholes in the damn street.
And the schooling system is failing.
Yeah. And there's just all this crazy shit going on. And I thought about this the other night. I thought of a scenario. This is kind of just like a hypothetical scenario of the system, but it's like, so they want you to have a 9-to-5. They want the other person to have a 9-to-5. Your spouse, let's say this is a married situation.
Okay.
We own a house. They want us to pay for this house. We can't afford it. Of course we can't fucking afford it. You pay us $40,000 and you want $300,000 for the house. Things are so out of balance. So they want that. So the government, that's what they want you to do, because they want you to go to the factories or, whatever the job is, that if you go far enough up the ladder, it's owned by someone that's, part of the umbrellas, one of the umbrella corporations that own pretty much everything. And this is not true in all instances. Obviously, there is some exceptions and whatnot, like the company I work for, I think it's privately owned, obviously. But I'm just talking in a general sense. So they want you to go to your 9-to-5, your spouse go to her 9-to-5. But they want you to have kids too, because then you get a tax break for when you get a kid. And what that tax break is for when you get a kid is, oh, sorry that you just had a kid, but you're not going to see them that much. You're going to have to spend 9-to-5 at your job, and then when you come home, you're going to be stressed out. You don't want to have to deal with your kid, so then you're going to have to pay more money to put them in daycare. And then on the weekends, you have the weekends or whatever.
In daycare, by the way, too, If you have 3 kids, it costs about $40,000 a year.
Yeah, it's
so
ridiculous.
Like one of the spouses work the entire. If you're doing corporate minimum wage, getting $30,000 to $40,000 a year, that's gone just
Right.
to make sure your kids are being brought up by somebody you don't really know.
Right. And so you do that, and then but they still want you to work 40 hours a week, Monday through Friday. So then what happens then is you're making this money, you're barely staying afloat, right? Because you have a mortgage to pay for. You probably have other debts. You probably have credit cards open. They give
Cars
you
and-
they give you just enough money to keep you afloat so that they're dangling the carrot. They think they want you to think that, oh, I'll get out of this. But as the story progresses, other things pop up. So then, you're working your 9 to 5, you now have 2 kids, you're super stressed out. Sometimes you like your job, whatever, you're self-medicating with alcohol. But then at work, each person is away from each other so much that these office romances happen, and then they cheat on their spouses, whatever. So that ruins, and then they go apart, and now they buy 2 houses. So now instead of having a loan out for one, you have another one. Creates this shit. It fucks the kid up. It just, to me, it seems like a system that and then on top of all that, they fucked with our food. Now they're fucking poisoning us. And you know why they're fucking poisoning us? Because what happens when you get fucking sick? And when you need something, you have now you're fucking allergic to gluten. You have to take medicine. You don't have a fucking liver anymore. You have a catheter. Where's that money going? Pharmaceutical companies, which are also owned by the fucking banks.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole cigarette tobacco.
Yeah.
They're selling you cigarettes at the same time they're selling you things to get off cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly.
They're creating these poisons at the same time they're creating these cures. And I think the whole the reason why they're doing that is so you're locked into that job.
Yeah.
Because if you people like you and I, right? We can walk away from all this if we wanted to. We don't have children. We don't have things that are truly tying us down. Like I think if you have children, don't get me wrong, I think you should have children when you're 100% ready for it. Which people say, well, how do you know when you're not ready for it?
Well, you just know.
If you're out of college, I don't think it's a good idea to get married and have kids.
Right.
To really understand, here's the thing with a kid is it's a conscious entity that could grow up to be fucked up.
Right.
You want to provide the best life. Are you at this spot currently in your life and foreseeable for the next 5 years, let's say, to raise this kid? Because if not, don't have it. Don't be like, because I always hate the question I hate the answer when I ask the question, what do you see in yourself for 5 years? Like, what do you see for yourself? I'm like, oh, I want to be married and have kids. Why? That's out of your control.
Right.
You don't know if your kid's gonna be good. But so they go to you and say, hey, you're 18. For the next 50 years of your life, you're going to have to figure out what to do with it. So go to college and kind of try to figure it out. And then you get in college debt. Oh, and by the way, that can never be erased. Right. And it's just so on building this. It's like what you say. You're just miserable in life.
Yeah, and obviously, like I said, there is exceptions. My brother, I told him all this because he's having a rough time at work. He hates his fucking job, and he read this article, and the article was like, it's the 4 facts, and one of the facts is you're gonna die.
Yes,
and
I always keep that in my head.
Yeah, and he freaked out about it, and he said, we were having a conversation today, and he did the thing. He went to college, he got the business job, he's been doing this and that, and we texted all day because he's freaking out about work and stuff. And I said to him, welcome to the beginning, because this is the beginning of his fucking journey of really figuring it out and opening up. He broke through the mold, the system, and I was trying to tell him that about the system, and he's like, well, I'm an optimistic person. I don't think that they're like purposely out there to get you and to keep you down and that sort of thing. And that's fine. You can, everyone has their own opinion, and to an extent I can see it's true, but I just feel this convincing feeling in myself that no, they want to fucking keep you down.
They want to control you.
Yeah, they want to control you, and they want to, like I said, they want to dangle the fucking carrot right in front of your face. Someday you can be debt free.
Yeah.
Someday you. Oh, but what happens when you're almost debt free? We're gonna raise your APR, or they're gonna.
Yep.
What I think is so funny,
or all your money that you just saved up for life, and they promised you this great future financially when you're old as fuck. You can't do anything. Go straight into all the medical bills that you have to have because you're old and trying to keep you alive.
Right. What I think is funny is, so I lived in the city of St. Louis for 3 years, from 2000 and 2012 to 2015 before I moved here. First, I didn't know I was supposed to register with the fucking city of St. Louis so that I could give them my money. And my employer didn't do that part of my taxes because they weren't in state. I don't know if they weren't aware or they just expect me to fucking be aware of it, that no one said anything to me about this. So I go along 3 years, and then when I move out here to Kansas City, I got a bonus and I got more money. So my paycheck went up pretty significantly. Now, mind you, 3 years, I registered my car. I got tags every year. These fuckers knew where I lived. They knew my address. As soon as I moved here and after I did my taxes, I got back taxed for 3 fucking years of living in the city. $1,600. Because, and I was, why wasn't I contacted after the first year?
They're probably saving up so it can be that much.
Yeah, no, and it was $200 for late charges and then $200 for interest or some shit like that. And I'm like, no, I'm making more money now, and you want to make sure that you get everything you
Everybody
fucking
wants your money, dude.
Yeah, everything you can fucking get. I already give, if my paycheck was $1,400, I got $900. They make sure they get their fucking cut. They do just enough to keep you afloat, but and there are people that are really good at balancing their money and they don't live on credit, that sort of thing. Like I said, there's always exceptions, good for those people, but I'm not going to eat fucking ramen noodles and drink water and not live like that. Like, that's not, I don't think it's fair to work your fucking ass off 40 hours a week and be stressed out and then have to come home and eat, we're eating ramen noodles again, because then guess what happens? Then you get fucking sick and you get fat, then you need medicine. All these things, they're these perfectly crafted little jabs for every situation to keep you under. And and I came to this realization today when I was talking to him, and it's just like the thing is just to learn how to fucking play the game. Like, obviously we have to pay for shit. Become aware, heighten your consciousness, extend your consciousness, get it as big as you can, just so that kind of shit doesn't matter.
My roommate and I talk about this a lot, is there is tons of bullshit degrees, mainly the one that I got. I really think that a business degree is a bullshit degree, because when I went into the business world, there were people that had child care degrees, sociology degrees, art history degrees. They were doing the same job as I had. But, like, you think that my e-marketing class that I took in 2008 is relevant today? My teacher actually thought that the internet radio would never take off. Look where it's at now. But I think there's a lot of degrees that are just complete garbage that I think that the school, so like, say you want to learn something, right? What do? You go on YouTube, you read about it, you actually learn how to do it. If you want to be an artist, you learn by reading books, by, if you take an art class, that's fine and everything, but pretty much anything you want to learn is going to be on the internet. I really think that the college from like the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, like early 2000s, it was just being saturated. Because let's just say this, for example, I got my business degree in 2010. It's been 8 years since then, right? You have a fall graduation. I'm not going to count summer. So fall and spring graduation. And every year, just at the school that I was, there's about maybe 1,200 students graduating with the same degree. Take 1,200 times 8. That's how many people were fighting for the jobs in St. Louis. Right. I think that college is going to be disrupted soon because we don't need it anymore.
Right.
The whole idea for going to university back in the day was because you want to actually further your education. Like Albert Einstein, for example, even though he wasn't in America, how he got his job teaching was because he wrote papers.
Right.
He actually wasn't a scientist.
Right.
But I think that's how it's going to be. Like, you learn from people that actually have things to offer. These teachers that are in school are going to teach you pretty much the thing to get you out of their class so they can get their paycheck. I think education is one of the...
Well, and they don't even pay the people teaching you. Maybe college professors probably make more money, but like high school people... like,
oh, yeah, I'm talking about college. I'm not talking about high school.
Yeah, but they don't even pay the people properly what they're doing to train their little minions.
Yeah, and the weird thing about teaching is, this not be 100% true, but I know from where I was from that they actually don't pay into Social Security because they get a teacher's pension. that can just go belly up.
Yeah.
And then they're completely screwed. Even
Yeah.
though I think that Social Security is not, you shouldn't rely on, this is how I think, is find something that you want to do in life. Because when you want to do something in life, you'll never want to retire. David Gilmour, who's the guitar player for Pink Floyd, he came out with an album, 2016, called Rattle That Lock.
Yeah.
He's in his 70s wanting to play. He doesn't
Right.
want to stop until he's dead.
Right.
Comic book artists, same thing. They just want to write
Well,
and
what
draw
they-
until they die.
I think that
Retirement is just this false thing that they
Right.
want you to work for.
Well, yeah, and some people make it there, but some people, they make it there, then they go delusional because they were already, because haha, here the government strikes again because they're putting fluoride in the water because they know that's because the black ops are years ahead of technology, so they already fucking knew that. How are we going to take care of these people so we don't have to fucking pay their retirement? Oh, well, if we start fluoride in the water now, by the time they're 60, 65, maybe 70, 75, instead of paying 20 years of their retirement, we'll only give them 5. Because where does that money go? It goes, probably right
Yeah.
back to them. So they devised the plan. I think that they're fucking sneaky, and there's the school system, the college system, the job system, for the most part, is all bullshit. It's just ways to control us so that we truly don't. So first and foremost, we don't get on their level. They probably hate people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and those kinds of people, but I'm sure that by now Jeff Bezos is probably having beers with these people.
The funny thing about Jeff Bezos is I think he was making $250,000 a year, and he's like, nah, I kind of want to try my book thing. And his like friend or boss, whoever gave him his advice, somebody gave him advice at his job and said, you make good money now. That's a dumb idea. Like, was it really a dumb idea? And the thing is, like, when you work these jobs, I worked at the same position for 3 years. I got one title because I was there for so long. You just go from an account rep 1 to account rep 2. But here's the thing that people don't know that they can ask for. So I got hired in just to review ads, right? But as soon as they start saying, okay, we're now review website ads, now monitor these ads, now do group dealership ads, ask for more money. They're giving you more tasks,
Right.
And because they hired you to do one specific task. Now, if you're having me do other tasks, I'll gladly do them, increase my pay, or I'm not doing them.
Right.
But people are afraid to ask for pay because I don't want to lose my job. Well, you fucking hate that job anyways.
Right.
And if you really think that it's going to be better as you keep on going up the ladder, you're wrong. The only way for you to continually go up the ladder, like say you want to be CEO. Well, how do you get to CEO? Like, let's reverse engineer this. Well, a position has to open, then has to open, and so on and so forth till you get to that spot. The only way you're going to get that position is if somebody leaves it or dies, and people aren't leaving or dying.
Or
from
if you're
positions.
best friends with the board or something like that, because they already have someone else in mind.
Like I was saying about me trying to figure out what this job was. I was highly skeptical because I think it was all an illusion because we had to keep it quiet. Where you work at, we have to say that we're Honda. We can't actually say what company we really are, so we have to really keep this hush hush type of thing. Like, why? Why are we trying to keep this thing secret? I was like, I don't get what this thing is, that they didn't like my personality. So every position that I was actually qualified because of my seniority for it and my knowledge, because I was doing more tasks than my lame loser boss was doing. Somehow they didn't like my personality because I didn't buy into their system, that they kept hindering me, even to the point of holding back my money.
Yeah.
And then even when I right before I left, you're supposed to get paid for Christmas vacation or whatever, and I left and they took $500 from me. just as like a little fuck it, keep your $500.
Yeah.
My goal is you guys. I know where they are going to be. They're still going to be manipulating people in the future.
Oh, they always will.
You have to kind of just do your own thing, man.
Yeah.
And not really buy into the money thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's either just be fine with it. Like, that's okay if you're fine with the system and you want to live that that sort of life and be on your deathbed and be
some people will want that.
Yeah, and that's fine. Or wake the fuck up, read some shit, learn some shit, do it. Try to do what makes you happy. Try to figure out a nice balance between actually having a job that is suitable till you get I'm slowly realizing my new goal, or not my new goal, but I'm slowly foreseeing myself moving to a foreign country in a small little town of Italy where I can eat wheat again and not feel like shit, and I can work remotely. I can work on my computer, and I can just be free. If I want to fucking go to the water, I can go to the water. I can raise my children over there and not have to feel this fake, mechanical machine that's not, there's just like no like organic-y feeling to what you're doing. It's just so very, our bodies aren't made to be machines. We're humans. We're organic material that evolved and that came from somewhere else. We're not machines. We're not supposed to be cogs in a machine.
Yeah, I used to think about the days I was gonna go to work in the business because I had to get that business degree and wear a tie and suit and everything. Dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have. That type of thing. Or I would just see, like, I would go out to at the time. I would go out to bars with my friends, and I would see guys get off their job, get off work, and they loosen their tie up, and they're maybe like 4 or 5 years older than I am. And they're at a bar having a beer at the end of the week with their friends and everything. And I was like, man, I really want that. Now I see exactly what it was. It was them going in there because they fucking hate their job, going into the bar, dilute themselves, getting ready to completely numb their mind for 2 days to cope with how bad the last 40 hours of their life was for the last week. They have to wear these dumbass fucking ties and these suits where you tuck in, and like I said, I would see these people and have some sort of jealousy over them. Now I don't want that life at all. That life is complete torture where you're in a box and you can't talk to people. That's the worst thing about it is the controlling aspect, telling you. Because here's the thing that I just realized, not just realized, but realized when I was working there is, if you accept a job that, let's say, pays you $25,000, they're telling you exactly how you can live your life. You can't buy a new car. You can't, buy, like you said, if you want to eat steak.
Unless you don't want to sleep at night because you're busy working on other shit the other 40 hours a week.
And if you take a job for $200,000, they're telling you exactly how you can live your life. Stop having people tell you how to live your life and just live your life. And like, here's the thing: with every great risk, there's great reward. Like, you may fail, but here's the thing: is when you fail at something, that, like, if I failed at my job because I fucked up something, it would feel awful. The reason why it felt awful is because I truly didn't care. Now, when it's something that you really care about and you fail, you think of it as a learning experience. Like, oh, okay, I see why I did that, and I have to learn. Now, what you are is in your office talking to your boss, and like, okay, well, you did this, and your production is this way, and we noticed that you haven't been doing. For me, is like, you haven't been logging your phone calls. We really need that information. Try better next time, or we're gonna put you on probation, and you're not gonna be able to get that $1,000 raise, that $1,000, like,
10 extra dollars every other paycheck.
Yeah, if that, after it's all taxed out.
Yeah.
But and then you're like,
it's the little carrot they're dangling in front of you.
That's what if you get this, if you get excited about $1,000, more power to you. But $1,000 ain't shit.
Right. It's just enough.
Yeah.
It's no skin off their back, and it's just enough to keep you satisfied because it's like, oh, that a boy.
This is one thing that blows my mind, and I do not get it, right? So say you and I are at the same office job, and we think the same way and everything, but you are my boss. How the fuck are you lying to me? When your boss is sitting there, how are they lying to they? Because this is the thing that I want to know, is if I want to ask them, if you're talking to me about this thing, right? And you say that I haven't been performing well, and I need to up my game, or whatever it may possibly be, to be better at productivity. Do you buy into this? Because if you truly buy into what you're trying to sell me here, I will respect you and I'll get it. Like, yep, I'll try harder because I'm getting paid to do this job. But if you don't buy into it, don't fucking lie to me. Don't lie to me. Say, here's the reason why I need this.
Because you're lying to yourself.
Exactly. And it's just this fake smile. And like, I sitting in those, I can't tell you how many times I just sat in even when I was a kid, I would sit in the principal's office and talk to him about like how I've been messing up because I'm not a good little gear in the system. But sitting in those offices, like chat rooms or whatever, with my supervisor and his supervisor, just talking about how I need to be better. It's just like, this is complete garbage.
Right.
If we're not all buying into it, why are we acting like it? Because
Right.
here's the real thing: is
Well,
if you
and
hate-
that's what we need, more people to speak up and
Yep.
and wake the fuck up and be conscious, because the more of us there are, then the system's going to start breaking.
if here's the thing is, let's say you work at a 9 to 5 office job. Let's say like the one that I was doing, which is compliance, and we all unanimously agree-
so bad.
Yeah. Okay, so is if everybody hates their job, right, and we all unanimously agree that we're not getting paid enough and we're being treated unfairly, what you do, and this is going to be the hardest thing you can do, is get everybody on the same page to do this. So I worked with 17 employees, 2 of which were supervisors. So 15 people were just like me, including myself, in the position-wise. Is I would have emails sent back and forth to these people. I know that they all agreed with me. Is we all stood up and said, we're not doing this job unless you pay us $55,000 or $60,000 or cut our hours. No, because we would have overtime every week, like 5 hours minimum overtime. No more overtime. We're gonna walk out. They can't get the job done without us.
Right.
Just like if you are in
Here's
a
the
kitchen,
thing,
right,
though.
and you just get up and just walk away.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. All 1,200 of those kids you graduated with, they're
They-
right behind you, so they don't fucking care. And
Yeah.
that's the whole point. That's the thing.
They
That's
would still take a loss though, because they would have to train these people.
right.
But-
And the hope would be that they would do something to change so the next generation would be better. But that's the thing, is that's why they're winning right now, is because they're just lining them up. They got them cranking
Yeah.
out. One goes, oh, got another one right behind. Someone quit at my job. I got hired. 2 other people quit after that. They literally hired 2 people right after that.
yeah, they're just replacing one gear with another gear.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, what people need to do is wake the fuck up. College kids, wake the fuck up. Don't go to college. Do something. Get an apprenticeship. Do something online.
4 years. If you
Move out of this country where it's not a
Experience, yeah.
necessity. It's not a necessity to do that. Get out of this country. This country, sure, it may have been great. I think it's still a great country. I just think the system is fucked.
Yeah, and then the whole 4-year thing is, if you want to be, let's say you want to be an illustrator, spend 4 years of your life doing that.
Just that.
Save your money. Let's say college it's not going to be this much, but let's say college for 4 years is $40,000. Take your $40,000, live, get the student loan or whatever for $40,000, live, don't have a job, and work on what you want to do, and actually have products. Because even if you didn't get your graphic design degree, but you learned graphic design, and in 4 years you probably will still have probably close to $20,000 of your money left. Apply for those jobs, and you're probably going to get them. You're probably going to actually be better off, because you're going to find something better that you want
Right.
to do.
And you have experience already, which, all entry level jobs nowadays. We need you to have a 4 years bachelor degree, but we also need you to have 2 years
Yeah.
of experience. What do you mean? I just got out of college. How am
Yeah.
I supposed to have 2? So you mean I need to get out of college and then somehow find experience somewhere? Oh, I get it. You want me to work for free so that I can defer my
Internships
fucking
and
loan
stuff,
for
yeah.
2 fucking years and then not pay it. You know what's really funny to me is average salary of a kid coming out of college, 40 grand a year. Average college student loan debt, $40,000 a year. That's kind of fucked. You know, once again, they're just giving you enough money just to fucking get by.
Yeah.
Just to get by, because you know what's going to happen? It's literally just recycled. You paid $40,000 for your student loan. I was fortunate enough, thank my parents, that I didn't have any student debt, but $40,000, that comes out to probably around $250 to $300 a month. They're going to give you $40,000 after taxes. That's what, $1,100 a paycheck. But yet they're going to cut some out of the taxes from it, and they're going to take their student loan, which, if you climb up the ladder of umbrellas of the corporation that you're probably working for, they're probably somehow the ones that gave you that money. They're just recycling it. Then they're recycling you, and then they're just turning you into a fucking washed up whore. By the time you're done, with being their bitch, they just fucking hang you up, wet. And
Ridden hard,
Yeah.
and put away wet.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just, got to get out of this shit. And I'm so glad that my brother is starting to realize, because I mean, it took me a while. It didn't take me a while to realize it. I've always known
to actually do something, because like I've always felt this way too. Like, life can't be this, and I don't understand why people love this sort of life. It took me like, honestly, if it wasn't for my roommate actually saying like, let's get out of here, we have to go. He's more of the type to actually take charge and, you know, do something with his life, where I'm more of, I try to play it safe back then. Now, like, the worst thing that's going to happen to me is I die, and that's going to happen anyways.
right.
So might as well see what this life has to offer on my terms, and not let somebody, you know, I think when you're saying entry-level jobs, is I think every job description that I see, if you go to like any sort of recruiting site, is all entry-level. Like, what else is there to do?
Right.
Like, if nobody, that's what I'm saying, if nobody said like, or that's nobody, if everyone said, we're not going to take these $30,000 a year jobs, you got to be fucking kidding me with this. Like, we're not taking these jobs.
Right.
They can't
Work them your fucking self.
Yeah, they would have to increase that. Or they're saying, we're not going to school because, you know, I went to school to learn how to paint underwater. What the fuck is that going to get you? Like,
Right.
It's cool that you learn how to do that and everything, but you just spend $40,000 doing that? Like, that's, you, they're not responsible. There's so much bullshit going on with the counselors telling you what to do. And here's the thing that I don't get is they were us. Because
Right.
now we're the teachers. Like, we all know one person that's going to be...
Because they succumb to the system. They're like, fuck it, I have a wife and a kid now. I got to do something to make ends meet. I liked playing music, but, you know, my band never did anything, and I just kind of lost, you know, giving up.
And I think you mentioned that once before, is that the person, you know, if let's say if they became an art teacher, you know, and they were teaching art, but before that, the only reason why they took an art teaching job is because that's all they could get. They actually didn't believe in themselves to do something with their art, so now they're a little bitter towards it. And then one rising star kid
Right.
shows extraordinary talent to be, but he doesn't know that he has talent, or she may have a lot of talent, doesn't know it yet, right? And so the teacher says to her, yeah, this was really good, but, you know, your lighting here is off,
Puts
and
them
just
down,
crushed her fucking soul, you know?
Yeah, puts them down, and then they're fucking scarred, because the fucker that's supposed to be in charge of your kid has some sort of complex, and when they're an art teacher, but they're the worst person to have in a position. It's just like these teachers that are banging little kids, you know, because they have some complex about their childhood or whatever.
That to me is gross, because I've known girl teachers, and I've actually been in this scenario, not to the degree where they're actually going to bang me, but make me feel extremely awkward. But like, there's one instance where one of my teachers locked me, not really locked me, but shut her door to her office and was like trying to come on to me, and I felt like, I think I was 15 years old. I'm like, this is fucked. I can't be part of this. And I just, like, me being shy, I was just like, oh yeah, like being really reserved and everything, trying to get out of that room. But it's when girl teachers, I've known one of my friends, her mom was a girl teacher and banged like an 8th grader. You know, nothing happens. It's more like, you know, the kids getting high fives and shit, where if the roles were reversed and it was a male teacher with an 8th grade female, that dude's going to fucking prison.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, but there's always been cases like that, like, for some reason with me too. Even when I was in 5th grade, the student teacher took me aside and, you know, put me in a room and just like, I don't know, that didn't really make like true 100% come-ons, but if you really think, if you're like a teacher, right, and you feel like you lost out on something because you didn't have enough relationships or whatever it may be when you were as girl or guy in high school, and now you're
an authoritative,
and they'll get it, you are fucked up.
Yeah. Well, and that's a perfect reason why the school system's fucked. Because now you have the people that are supposed to be in charge, that the parents are supposed to trust, banging little kids, being fucking weird. Oh, that education fucked. Religion, the people that are supposed to be speaking God's word and taking care of your children, oh, they're fucking the kids too. Oh, that system's fucked. What other system? The banking system? Well, they don't.
Or bosses imposing themselves on.
Yep.
Or you can get a better job. You can, if you
Yeah,
just, you know, work
yeah.
after hours. Wear that skirt that I like
Yeah.
you, and then gross ass shit like that. They feel like they have to do that in order
and then
to succeed.
the bank doesn't have to physically fuck anyone, because they just monetarily fuck you by keeping you under. So it's, I mean, these are, as we talk about this, I'm getting heated about it, because they're just, it's telltale signs that these archaic fucking systems do not work. Money was created 1,000 years ago. Why are we still fucking doing that? Do we still have the rotary phone? No, we made better shit. Money is what drives the system. There's a better thing. There's a better thing, a better system that we can put in place that is not, as archaic as the Babylonian times, Babylonian magic or whatever. It's shit. And what it is, it's fucking ruining people. It's stifling us as a human race from excelling in expanding our consciousness as a whole. Oh, that's what one of the things the alien thing said. It says, or the alien, what supposedly one of the aliens said to this guy. It's consciousness, your consciousness, their consciousness, unity consciousness is where it needs to be. We all need to be on the same conscious wavelength, and then this world, that's when we're going to start tapping into some shit that we've never, that we've only dreamed about, is when the wavelengths are all, on the same wavelength, when we're all like-minded, when we're more like-minded, when we're more positiveness creates better attitudes, creates better consciousness, creates better energy that comes out of here. We're all made out of energy and shit. In the system, the money, all that kind of shit, it's all dark. It's just there to stifle us as a race.
Yes, keep us numb.
Yeah, we're preventing ourselves from accelerating, at monumental speeds.
But you got a new shiny product, though.
Yeah, fuck it. And I mean, I fall victim to it too. This room speaks materialism and shit, but these are tools for my craft. I could.
Well, you have to have, like, if you see my stuff, it's comic books and books on drawing and pens, paper, all that stuff. But that is to the thing that is, like, I don't have a video game system. Like, I don't have that. Like, It's at my parents' house because I just let them store the shit. But I don't want to be engrossed in that sort of stuff. And that's kind of like, you have to realize what your addictions are truly doing to you. Because honestly, if you're constantly on your phone, like, we all have that friend that takes 4 hours to text you back and everything, but every time you're hanging out with him, what's he doing?
On their phone,
on Facebook. Like, I know you saw my fucking text, dude. Like, why are you trying to act like you didn't, like that sort of thing, or days go by. Oh, sorry, I didn't see this. Like, no, you saw it because you had to click on the app to get on the, your social media. It's like that thing. Like, that's a problem, Like, here's the thing is, if you're doing something and there's no benefit to it, stop doing it.
Right.
But yeah, we have all these shiny products just to,
numb us. There needs to be a place like this Ubuntu place where people can go, and
I think it could be like this whole thing could be it.
Right, but it has to start. The small voice has to be heard, and whether or not you believe in aliens or stuff, but even just talking about that, even believing in it, that's a step in the right direction, because you're giving up the old system. You're believing in something else. It's kind of like being like, okay, I'm over this whole fucking religion thing. Like, I just want to look at something. Oh, aliens. Oh, that's cool. I believe that shit. The crazy bird fuckers flying around and silver discs and stuff, and the anal probing people and fucking cutting up cattle. That sounds tight. Let's get into that.
And what's funny is, like, somebody's like, oh, you believe in aliens. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And they go to church every Sunday.
Yeah. Like, wake the fuck up. People need to wake the fuck up. Like, stop being in fucking zombie mode. Get out of your phones, and I don't know.
Yeah. I know. I can rant on this for a while as well, like the whole thing, because it's just something that, like, I'm passionate about, because, like, I figured out for myself what I could do in my life to make me the most unhappy, miserable person that I could ever possibly imagine. I know exactly how that feels, and I found a way how to not do that. And it's getting rid of your bad habits. The thing is, it's going to take a long time. When I decided to make a complete change mentally to get out of this stuff was almost 3 years ago. And, like, I'm still not fully there, because I would like to make money doing something with my art, because I would love to say, hey, I actually accumulated that home by drawing something, and people actually are enjoying my art to some degree. But it's going to take you a while to get out of it. That's why you have to, like, truly figure out what you want to do in life, and not be bogged down by social structures telling you what you can do and what you can't do. And research aliens, man.
And if anyone made it if anyone's listening and anyone made it all the way to the end of this, like, our stuff, review it, go to iTunes, give it stars, give it reviews,
And
follow
on,
us,
on Spotify as well.
and on Spotify, follow us on Podbean, realityorpodcast.com.
Also, if you enjoy
Twitter, we're on Twitter.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot about the Twitter. Yeah, it's new. And also, if you enjoy any of these episodes or all the episodes, share them with your friends.
Yeah,
and then
share
also
on
like
social media.
give feedback too for possible topics that we could talk about.
Yeah, our email is realityorpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, send us something.
Blow
and,
that box up.
Give us feedback. No mean things because we don't like mean things. All nice things. 'cause
Fuck it. You can. It's free will. You can do it. Say whatever you want.
We'll read the terrible ones online. Or
Yeah, on the podcast.
Yeah, I would
yeah.
love to read the terrible
Share it
ones.
with your friends, please. We need more listeners.
Yeah, cool, man. I think that's
That's a
that's
wrap.
yeah, that's good. All right, so adios, amigos.